Right. Let's turn you on. Okay, you are on now. Yeah, so they're all discussing mincemeat. And what were you talking about, Chugs? Liver.
I was just saying that I partake in the odd bit of raw liver as well.
It's meant to be. It's full of iron, isn't it? And maggots.
Yeah.
And worms' eggs.
Really easy.
Yeah.
Well, when I was working on the farm, get up on Monday mornings because I had to be at market. The first we had
to be at market.
we had to get up at sort of like 1:30 in the morning, and the first pigs were got to market. So, do you know when you get up in the morning and you need to have something because you're going to be doing a whole load of manual work? And I just used to get a glass of milk and just put 2 eggs in it, and drink that down. And that just used to line your stomach.
And he had salmonella for the rest of the day.
No.
Not very nice. Anyway, we are now live, so welcome, hello, and yes, you can see that we left the party in a rather a bit of a predicament last time, and we can see the action on the screen at the moment. But before I tell you where they are and what they're actually up to, I'm going to allow the players the opportunity to introduce themselves and the characters they will be playing in tonight's adventure of Mithras, which is a fantasy role-playing game based on percentile dice. So a bit like Dungeons and Dragons, but not quite. Yeah, you'll notice slight differences in the rule system. Anyway, without further ado, I'll pass over to Chuggerwugger to allow him to tell you who he is and who he is playing tonight.
Well, I am Chuggerwugger, has previously been stated, and I am playing Gulliver, the apprentice sorcerer. He is a member of the Order of the Kraken, which is one of the 4 sorcery orders on Odis, and that particular order specializes in spells involving communication, transportation, and teleportation. Sorcerers have the unique ability to actually shape their spells. I can expend points of shaping and change the range, the magnitude, number of targets, and I can even combine several spells into a single spell cast, although Gulliver himself hasn't got round to that yet. He also has several minor spells, folk magic spells, which he classes as cantrips, which he can cast. Quicker to cast, but not as powerful as his sorcery spells. And I shall pass on to Longshanks EPG.
Thanks very much, Chuggerwugger. Hi guys, I'm Longshanks EPG. Tonight, as always, I'm playing the awesome character called Hengist. He is the group's warrior, sword and shield. Usually has had at one point a hand and a half sword. Currently has no sword, no shield, no dagger, missing most of his armor because we were kidnapped however many episodes ago, and as a party, and most of us lost most of our equipment. So he's currently running around with fisticuffs. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. And I'm going to pass it over to the Pickle-lator.
I guess I'm now the Pickle-lator, also known as Mr. Pickles, and tonight I'm going to be playing Bartleby Fumus, our group's resident goblin expert and miracle worker in the name of the White Moon goddess Amriel. Through her, many things are possible, such as lighting candles from afar, healing the wounds of my injured allies, or removing disease and poison from Gulliver's leg. He's easily spooked, but generally well-meaning towards his fellow humans. And with that, I'm going to throw the microphone to Medivac. Nice catch.
Hello, everybody. I'm Medivac, and I'm playing Hasra Khan. He is a nomad. He has been separated from his tribe while hunting bandits, and now he has fallen in with this wonderful group of people here who are on a mighty quest to save a fellow friend. He's pretty much running around naked at the moment because somebody's taking all his armour. But he does have a spear, and he is doing Macaulay Culkin through the woods. And with that, I shall pass on to Imwills.
Okay, so the party was indeed kidnapped several sessions ago, and since being kidnapped, they have been through a town called Thorson, which was a pig town, a village or hamlet based on the economy of pigs, where Hengist and Hasra became well known as lump hefter champions. They've joined a caravan which is travelling through Thorston and onto Aylesford, which is where they are meant to be meeting up with their rescuers from the bandits, two people that they have met before called Finian and Thor and Lauren. Gulliver has been tasked by his order to investigate a strange going on, in which the Council of Sorcerers, and there was an attack done on them, and since Gulliver was the only person far away at that time on the opposite side of the continent, he is the only member of all the orders that are beyond suspicion, and he's been tasked by a fellow member of the Blue Order, who is now sadly died. He died in the jaws of a poisonous giant viper. Gulliver's been tasked to figure out what's going on and maybe to save all the orders of Odess. The party, as they were travelling last time through the countryside with the caravan, enjoyed some log shifting and using horses and tackle to clear the pathway for the caravan to journey on more. Bartleby gained the title of Wolf Whisperer, as while he was on watch, a group of whispers of wolves attacked or came close, and he managed to use the power of Amriel to soothe and calm them, and the fellow guards that were on watching were quite impressed by that. It was also during one of the people's watches, and I'm not too sure which, that the screams were heard, and they the caravan drivers retold the tale of a woman who had been kidnapped and used very badly by fellow bandits. Anyway, the party carried on and they came to an appropriate place to stop, and when they found that Hasra, using his tracking skills and survival instinct, noticed that there had been a kerfuffle on the roadside, and then they found the amulet of Matilda, who had left the forlorn Glun, at Thorson. It was his sister, and so they decided to head off into the forest to see if they can find out what happened. It was while they were travelling that I think Gulliver found that he had blood dripping from up on high onto his shoulder, and the two crosses on the map, the two purple ones, one here and here, these were dead bodies that had been hung up into the tree, almost like impaled on branches, and although the majority of the blood had left them, they were still dripping blood. As that happened, a wonderful looking lady of a ghostly spirit came towards them, as you can see on the map, and just as she approached and came closer and closer and closer, she let out a terrifying scream. Willpower rolls were rolled, and Gulliver and Hengist resisted the urge to flee in panic away from the scene. However, sadly, both Bartleby and Hasra failed to do this. Hasra is quite good at moving, I think, and he is now you can see his
30 meters off?
yeah, well, you're actually 8 meters off the map, because if you look in your red circle,
Oh, that's what you put in it, didn't you?
yeah, so you're 8 meters off the map. So you're there at the moment, but in order to come back, if you ever do come back, you'll have to move 8
You
meters.
told me to run, so I just get to run.
And Mr. Bartleby is down here, and I think there's no number in it. Is that exactly where you are, Bartleby?
I have it noted in my papers that I rolled to keep my lantern and that I'm running 10 meters off the map.
10 meters off the map. That is absolutely brilliant. We will stick a 10 on you then and put you down there. And yeah, and the only 2 people that are remaining are Gulliver with a lantern. You have a lantern, and Hengist there. And I'll just call up the turn order. This is the initiative order that we arranged last time, so I've just kept it like that. You notice that we're on round 1, turn 1. The Shrike, as she is, actually went on 23, and that was her scream. Okay, and everybody's moved that amount of distance. And Hengist and Gulliver, just so you know, used as sort of like brought up inner strength from your willpower to sort of like resist the temptation just to run away and never come back again. Now, just before we start, does anybody want to ask any questions before we start the combat round? Anything that you're not too sure about, or anything that you would like me to go over?
No, thank you.
No,
I'm good, thank you.
okay.
I take it. So I take it because it's a continuation that luck doesn't replenish.
No, luck will replenish.
Yeah, every week, isn't it?
Yeah, luck replenishes via sessions. It's only magic points that refresh after resting. So your luck, you actually do have luck points back. Now I'm just getting on to my thing. What did I call it? Death of the party. There you go. Yeah, got it. I'm all ready and waiting. Okay then, so no further questions then. So here we go then. So round 1, combat turn 1, Shrike shrieks and 23, which causes Hasra and you, Bartleby, to run off, and we come straight to the next round, the next turn order, which is you, I do believe, Gulliver.
Yeah. So when we had left it, Gulliver had the lantern in one hand, and he had also taken out of his tunic the symbol that he used to cast some of his.
Yes, that is correct.
He was sort of like waving that around, waiting to see where this comes from. And as he sees this ghostly figure coming towards him, he's going to hold his hand out outstretched, and he's going to start casting the spell.
Okay, so in turn 1 you're going to be spell casting. Yeah, cool. And Bartleby, we're to you. So Bartleby and Hasra, you have 2 things that you will do every round. The first thing that you will do is that you will roll a willpower check. If you succeed in your willpower, then your turn is taken up stopping. If you fail with your willpower check, you actually will take your turn as running another movement, if that makes sense. Yeah,
That makes perfect sense.
yeah. So Bartleby, you are next on 20. So if you would like to make a willpower check for me.
Any chance my oath to the twin moons would help?
At the present moment in time, your brain is just scrambled with fear. You don't even know who you are, where you're running, or anything at the moment. So It's just going
That's
to
right.
be. You can look it if you wish, but you will not need to. So you actually succeed on a 23 on a standard roll. So that means that you are back into your. You are in control of your body. Perhaps, just perhaps, Amriel did look down on you successfully, and to actually stop you running. So you are now 10 meters off the map, and you will get your turn next. The next in turn, your action in turn 2. Okay, so that's your save done. Hengist, you're next, I think. Yeah.
Hengist is going to take a movement action, and he's going to move fairly quickly to stand sort of like slightly in front of Gulliver, slightly to the left of him, in between the weird ghosty woman and Gulliver.
Okay then, so that's your move action. That's absolutely brilliant. And Hasra, you're up next, so you need to make your willpower check.
I will try indeed.
Right. Do you wish to look?
I will use 1 point of luck just to try again.
Yeah. Things are not going your way. What's your movement rate?
My movement
For
is,
running, sorry.
Yeah, for running is 21.
21, which
I'm
will
now
make
29 off the map.
29. And the other thing that you need to do, I am sad.
It's my spear, isn't it? Yes.
The first.
More like falling over a root.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing that you need to stop doing. So, can you roll for me, please, an evade roll?
Ooh, evade, not athletics.
No. It's evade, yeah. Yeah, so you actually... do you wish to look it?
I'd like to think that Hasra would be very adept at running through a forest, so I'm going to look at it if you wouldn't mind.
I think he is very adept at running across the plains, the steppes.
Well,
Forest is a little bit different, and the other thing is it's quite dark at the moment. You know,
I won't look it. I will take the pain.
you can look it. I have no worries with you looking at it.
I'd rather do it. Yeah, I'd rather do it. I would not look it.
Okay, so you actually trip and fall to the ground, and you sort of like skid along, but at the same time you're still worried and frightened, so you actually start to crawl before your next turn actually to move forward.
How far have I gone, would you say?
I've now you're 29 meters off the map. I've changed it. Yeah. So at 29 meters, you trip and fall.
She's behind me! Quick!
Yeah.
Get away!
So you're just doing your movement, which is brilliant, which takes us up to the top of the round. And the first thing that the Shrike does is that you remember she was once this beautiful woman, but now she seems to be almost like a haggard hag, and her hair is still sort of like billowing behind her. And both Hengist and Gulliver, can you please make perception checks for me, please? And if you succeed, then I will send you something in Discord. So please make sure you do it.
I want to use a point of luck.
Okay. Are you just reversing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then.
What did I? Oh,
yes. Yeah.
I looked at the wrong one then, because Hengist rolled after me.
Yeah. No, you had 83,
no.
so you can do it to 38, which would be absolutely fine. Okay then. Yeah. Okay. But what does happen at that point? I'm going to type it in a second to you, but she seems to let out not a terrifying scream as before, but she seems to stretch out her hands, and you both see these hands coming towards you, and it's as if her hands almost like elongate out of her body, and you suddenly feel that the gap between you, you're probably safe, she's too far away, but as you look, these hands just get closer and closer and closer to you, and you notice that the fingers are not sort of like lovely female hands. They're all knotted and gnarled like twisted branches, and you notice that her fingernails are all blackened and almost like elongated into some kind of claw. Both of you need to make for me willpower rolls. Just 1 second, I'm just typing. Okay, you should have something now, Gulliver. Right, how did we do? So you succeed, Gulliver. Hengist, you do not. Okay then. Do you wish to look at Hengist? Because I know you've got one luck. Have you?
No.
You do. You are one luck, aren't you?
Hengist is one luck.
Yeah. Okay then. So these.
One luck, Hengist.
So these hands sort of like come out towards you, and at the last minute, Gulliver, you see that they actually turn and they actually clamp around Hengist's neck and start to lift him up off the ground. Hengist, just make for me, please, I want it. It's the dex. I want. What do we use for dropping weapons? It's so long.
I thought it was not athletics. It's not.
No, it is athletics, because athletics is strength and dex,
Yeah.
which would make sense. Yeah, just roll a strength, an athletics check for me, please, Hengist.
Yeah.
One second. So you drop anything that you're holding or anything like that, and you feel yourself being lifted up off the ground and into the air. You need to take some damage here. You take 4 points of damage on your head location. Armor will stop it if you have anything there.
No armor.
I just need to check something. Just 1 second. Okay, I've got it. Yeah. Okay. Are you still up?
Yep. For the moment.
Okay. Cool. So Gulliver, you see Hengist just sort of like being lifted up, and you can hear the cackles of this Shrike, and you sort of like have a quick glance up where he's going, and you can see up above your head, can you see where the body is? Just where Hengist's token is. You see that just above there is another piece of a branch sticking out. That is also next to where the previous person has been impaled. And Gulliver, you're up.
So that's the second round of Gulliver's spell casting.
Yeah.
Of his rack spell.
Yeah, got you.
So I shall roll to see whether or not that comes out. It's an evocation roll.
Okay, cool.
Ace.
So as he's holding out his pendant towards this woman, the grey smoke starts to billow
You
out.
said that with such venom in your voice. this
allowed,
woman.
You are allowed an evade roll if you so desire.
Oh, cool. Yeah, is it just coming to a certain is it just a random location?
It's a random thing. Yeah, it's a random hit location.
Yeah, so go for it.
Is it humanoid?
Yes, yeah.
Left leg.
Okay then, cool.
So it wraps around the left leg and then it crackles with electricity if anything happens for.
Yeah, and you sort of like you see your tendril of smoke emanate from your hand and go around, and the Shrike is really not looking at you at all. It's almost like she's sort of like got black eyes on Hengist as she lifts him higher and higher, and she's almost like got that crackly grin on her face as she sort of like obviously sees that her next victim is about to be delivered to her, and it crackles round, and it doesn't seem to crackle round her feet. It seems to encase her somehow, but it seems to be crackling towards what I told you about before. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much damage? 4.
4 points.
Yeah. Thank you. Excellent. Okay then. Bartleby, you're up.
Realizing that my friends are not also sprinting to safety with me, I'm going to turn around and go back with the intention probably to cast a protection, but I know that doesn't work.
Okay, what's your movement?
Movement would have been a nice thing to have up here. Believe it is a 6, but walk 6, run 17. 17. So it'll take you 10 to get back onto the map. Okay, so you can now move. You've got control of your character. You can move another 7 meters from where you are. Probably about to right here, and then assess the situation.
Okay, then. Yeah, cool. So you can see exactly what you've seen before. Gulliver seems to be attacking this Shrike with magic. You can see the black smoke around the Shrike's legs, and I'm going to type something to Discord for you. Could you just make a perception roll so I know how much to give to you? Because there's about 8 lines here. I just want to cut and paste the... Yeah, okay then. I'm just cutting and pasting everything so it'll say what I'm saying. Do you get all that?
Yes. Well, interesting.
Okay. If you want to reply to anything, just pop it in and I'll catch up with it in a second. Yeah, so you see this outstretched, these almost like elongated arms of this Shrike. And it almost looks as if she's about to impale Hengist on what seems to be an out-jutting branch up near the previous body, and you come onto the map, and as you come running on, light seems to flare into the area a little bit brighter now, and both Hengist and Gulliver, you do see the Shrike almost like take a slight step back or slight movement back as more light seem to come onto the area. Hengist, you're up.
Hengist is going to sort of like try and wriggle desperately free of this thing. So he's going to try. No, change that. He's going to try and grab hold of these arms and like things that are around his throat.
Yeah.
So he's going to try and sort of like wrench them off.
Cool.
I don't know what he needs to do that.
Yeah, just roll your unarmed combat. Yeah, you sort of like reach out with your hands and you sort of like bring them both, and you actually think you've got her, you've got her. And as you put your hands round her arms, your fingers just seep through them, and you just feel all the wetness of the blood and bones as you sort of like squeeze, as you try to grab hold of them, and you just sort of go like that until you suddenly find that your hands are actually clenched, and you just see the arms sort of like dissolve underneath you, and then as you pull away you see them grow again, and she just lets out this unearthly cackle at you, and she rocks her head back like this and sort of like as if to say, "You stupid fool, you," and she continues to hoist you. Hasra, willpower check.
Stop running, please, at some point. There we go. Willpower. Just keep running.
Just keep running. Just keep running.
Get to the car! Get to the car!
What's your run speed?
21, was it? 21.
For your run? Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you are 50 meters away.
If you get to Lindo, could you bring?
Yeah.
I'm going for him.
Okay. Make an evade roll for me, please.
I'll be back. Oh.
Yeah. You stumble slightly, but carry on running, and you suddenly notice this time as you get up that you start pumping your arms like anything to get away, and you suddenly realize that you pump your arms very easily, and it's just sort of like something sort of like flitters through your berserked and fearful mind, and you suddenly realize that you've got nothing in your hands.
Where's my spear?
Yeah, so your previous evade roll was whether or not you, as you dropped and crawled away, because you failed it, you just got rid of the spear as you actually you start to run and you find you got a stick. You know, you drop the spear and just picked up something. It's a bit like Bug's Life. You sort of like going, you just have a little stick in your hand.
Or a squirrel, or sort of
a squirrel.
By its tail.
There's a squirrel.
Not the eyes.
Okay, so Hasra's moving. Excellent. Okay, we're coming to combat round 3. Combat turn 3.
I asked you a question on Discord.
Oh, sorry. Let me just have a look at that. Thank you. Hang on, there's something else. There you go. So Shrike has no more action points. So it's anybody who still has action points left. So Shrike's out. Gulliver, do you have action points left?
Yeah. Is dropping a weapon a free action?
Yes. If you don't want to put it down.
Okay. So
for example, have you got a torch?
I've got a lantern.
Yeah, so if you want to drop the lantern, if you want to take an action point and put it down, it'll be fine. If you want to just drop it, then there is a chance to go out, but it'd be like a 1 in. If you roll a 1 on a 10-sided dice or any number, then it'll go out. But there is a chance of it doing that, rather than if you take an action point and put it down, it won't.
Well, Gulliver still has the lantern. In
his, you do.
And in the other hand, he's channeling this rack spell.
Yeah, correct.
But on his turn, what he's going to do, he's just going to drop his amulet that he's channeling the spell through.
Yeah.
And once he's dropped it, his hand turns over, and a small disc of swirling water starts to form in it as he starts doing another spell.
thing. So that will cancel the rack spell, yeah?
It
So,
does, yeah. So that
so
one
he
is-
won't take any damage.
Ow.
Yeah, so you just drop the pendant and it'll just fall back onto your chest, and then you can start casting. How many turns for your spell casting?
I'm just doing it now. 2.
2, yeah, okay then. So that'll be number 1 of it. Yeah, and Bartleby, do you have any action points left?
No, I just arrived at the scene. I'm too slow to
Yeah.
react quickly enough.
Yeah, well, and just remember, I mean, each one of these rounds is 5 seconds. So you are working. I mean, Hasra is bolting like Usain Bolt somewhere. You know, he'll be passing on the squirrel in a relay race.
Here, meet.
Hengist has a third action point. And
Excellent. So Hengist, yeah.
He wants to try and struggle. So failing to pull the things here, he's going to try and sort of like he wants to try and wriggle.
Okay, then. So make
wriggle
a So make a brawn roll for me. So you start to struggle and struggle, and all of a sudden you manage to break free, and you come plummeting down to the ground, and you land on the ground, and you think you've dropped like 5, 6, 7 meters straight down from the ground, and you just sort of like land on your feet and collapse to the ground, and you feel your legs almost like buckle, as if your shins are going to snap with the sheer drop of it. But all of a sudden you just see that you're lying on the floor, and you sort of like come out of what appears to be some kind of a dream almost, and you notice that you're not injured at all. Your legs are fine, but you do see the piercing black eyes of the Shrike gazing into you, and you notice that she's got normal arms now and everything like that. You almost like shake your head as if you're coming out of a dream or something like that, and you do notice Bartleby, Gulliver, and Hengist. The Shrike lets out this almighty cry of anguish. It's not a fear cry. It's like a cry of anguish, as if she's been somehow defeated. Hasra, do you have any more action points?
Muted.
Muted. Damn you, mute.
Do you have any more action
I
points?
do have one more. Yes.
Yeah, cool.
So
Willpower
willpower.
roll then.
I'll just keep going, shall I?
Do you? Yeah. So that'll be.
We left the cart over here, I'm sure.
Yeah. So evade roll first, please. Yeah, you stumble to the ground and you drop your squirrel and you sort of like clamber over. You do.
The bear.
You do take. Hang on. 3 points to either your left or right leg. I don't care which one it is. You can apply it. It will be absorbed with armor, but if you got any there, but you sort of like whack your knee on a branch or something like that, or you get cut by a briar, etc.
Taking 3 points to my left leg in that case.
Okay, brilliant.
Because we'll know the right leg takes so much damage.
Yeah, so yeah, that is true. Yeah. Okay then. So we're coming in.
I would like to use a point of luck to buy an extra action.
Yeah, by all
At the
means.
end of the
Which
round.
would be your second spell. Yeah.
Which will be the second thing. I sent a message in Discord.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh,
What
sorry.
I was-
I just pressed the wrong one and started up Minecraft.
Have you not got enough monitors to have Discord open on one?
It sits behind whatchamacallit, the stream one.
Why does
as
it
well.
say you play Minecraft?
So yeah, I've read that. Okay then. So
Okay, so
you need, it's 1d3 damage.
It's what? Sorry.
1d3 damage.
To.
Oh, sorry. What? Which one? You? Oh, sorry. I thought you were doing disruption. I had it in my mind that you're doing disruption, but I forget. Yeah.
Summon.
Yeah. Okay then. So I have an evade resist, don't I?
Well, no, I've got to roll it first.
Oh yes, cool.
And I'm going to use a point of luck to.
Which would be 09. Would that be a crit?
No, I would need 8 or below.
Ooh, so close. So close. Let me roll that. And she fails her evade, which means that your spell will actually take effect. So,
Okay.
do you want to summon it to your hand?
Yes, that's what happens basically. So what would happen? Gulliver's holding his hand out at the moment, and there's like a swirling ball of water that's slowly starting to spin round and get faster and faster. And then all of a sudden, he just closes his hand, and the thing that he's trying to summon will sort of like turn into water. It's just take like on a watery hue, and then when he opens his hand, it appears in it.
Okay, so yeah, it sort of like it appears in your hand, and the chain sort of like flops over the you know, the side of your palm, and the Shrike almost like her eyes. You notice her eyes sort of like bulge very wide as she notices that it's been removed from her and now resides in your hands. Okay, so combat round 2, turn 1, and it's the Shrike's turn to go first. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she immediately almost like launches herself at you, Gulliver, because of this thing that you have, and she sort of like comes to you screaming as reaching out for it as she comes towards you. Could you make a willpower roll for me, please? Yeah, and as she sort of like comes towards you, you almost like feel this urge to just sort of like relinquish what you've got and almost like give it back to her as she comes screaming towards you. But at the last moment, almost with a glee smile, you sort of like close your hand around it and sort of like hold it back, almost like behind you. And she comes swooping down from quite a height, straight down at you. And Hengist, you see this Shrike just coming for Gulliver in full power. And she's got her hands outstretched and clawing her fingers. And she comes swooping down. And then just at the last moment, she just almost like dissipates. And she just sort of like flows through you, Gulliver, and she disappears.
What does the Gulliver will sort of like turn his back to where she was coming from anyway, and he wants to the pendant that he's holding. He wants to have a closer look at it.
So let's just so that all happened on your round. So you sort of like start to look at it. Bartleby, you would be up next. What would you like to say or do at this point?
Bartleby is going after Hengist to assess whether or not he's been injured.
Yeah.
As quickly as he can. So that'd be my turn, is moving over there.
Yeah, you sort of like look down and you see no perceived injuries from this encounter. So any injuries that he had before, he's still got, but any injuries that he gained from this encounter, there's nothing round his neck or anything like that. There's no sign of injury at all. Hengist, it is your turn to act. What would you like to do?
Hengist is going to use this turn to stand up, and he's just going to muster go, "What the hell?"
Yeah, and you sort of like get up, and you sort of like, you even sort of like check your neck to sort of like, because you know that her hideous hands were around her and her talons, and you sort of like check around your neck, expecting to find, you know, either blood or seeping sores or something like that, but it just feels constant, just like normal. Hasra, willpower check, please.
Certainly.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
you
Where were you?
you slowly sort of like slow down and come to a halt. Could you add yourself, please, 2 levels of fatigue, so you're now tired on your fatigue, and you gradually come to the halt, and you suddenly sort of like have to do that classic sort of like bend over and hold your knees as you try desperately to get your breath, and you seem to be in some dark place of the forest.
I would clutch my left leg and go.
Yeah, and you notice that you've got an injury down there. Could you just make a perception roll for me, please?
Sure.
Yes, do you wish to look it?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to go for the blood rushing to the head.
Okay, yeah, so you're sort of like there, sort of like relaxing. Yeah.
Oh, my head and my leg.
Okay, yeah, so you are, we're out of combat round now. Combat has ceased. Gulliver, yeah, it seems to be some kind of, it doesn't look gold. It almost like looks some kind of false gold. It looks quite expensive though, and it's definitely, it has a gold-like chain, and then it has one of those locket love hearts on, if that makes sense. You know, the ones that you can click and it can open. It's quite intricately made as well. Just make a commerce check for me.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, yeah. You think it's extremely well made. It's probably, if you were back in Lindo, it was probably something to do with possibly some kind of noble. You know, it's not sort of like your common and garden trinket. It's not pure gold, but it's very well crafted, and even, you know, the tiny little hinge down one side. Where this locket will open is so well made. You know, you're quite impressed by its craftsmanship.
Can he open the locket?
Yeah, there seems to be. It doesn't seem to be a catch. It just seems to prise open. So as you sort of like close it, it sort of like clicks into place. But right. You just sort of like press the metal a bit, and then it will open.
He's going to do that, but he also wants to look to see whether or not he can see any engraving on it, you know, around the edge, you know, anything. So holding it, he'll put the lantern down. He'll probably kneel down and put the locket close to it and have a look around the, you know, where it joins. There's normally a sort of like a.
Yeah, you can look for engravings on it. Bartleby and Hengist. What would you like to? Hengist, please remove anything, any wounds that you put on your head, because they're purely in your mind. But can you also, for me, please, reduce your tenacity down to 1?
Sorry, down 2 or down
Now
by?
down to 1, so it should be
Down to
1 out of 5 now, I think.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So and that will so tenacity is what you engage with in spirit combat. So basically, you had a very similar encounter as Bartleby did with the spirit beforehand. So right the way through that, both Bartleby and Gulliver knew that you were just flailing around on the floor. So I go like this. Just out of interest, you took 4 points of damage, yeah?
Yeah.
If you had taken another 1, you would have been comatose, and she would have sucked your soul.
Sucked you dry.
Yeah.
And that's not all.
So you are a very lucky warrior. Hengist and Bartleby, or anybody. What would you two like to do when Gulliver's inspecting this pendant?
Are you okay, Hengist? Why are you looking around so much? I think it's gone. Are you okay?
I seem to be now, but I had the distinct impression that she was strangling me and pulling me up by my throat up, and then he just sort of like looks up at the dangling body. If that dangling body's still there.
No. There is.
In that case, he just looks up at the trees.
Yeah.
And then makes it up there.
And this is the first time you and Hengist and Bartleby, you notice this. You sort of like look up as if to sort of like see what's actually up there. But you suddenly notice that there's no body, there's no blood on the floor. There seems to be nothing at all in the area at all. It just seems to be like normal woodland.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
What happens now when I cancel my spell?
Yeah, as in are you cancelling your spell?
Yeah, because it's once I've had a look at it.
Do you want to check the engravings first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it is engraved and it seems to have 2 letters on it. And when I say 2 letters, they're engraved with quite a lot of flurry and flourish. So the letters are T and L, but it's almost like it's illuminated writing like the monks used to do. And the T sort of like has all swirls up and off it. And the L sort of like has a curl and then it comes down and sort of like winds its way. So
does it say T and L?
Just TL. Just
Right.
TL, as if it's 2 letters, one above the other. But the interesting thing is one of the tendrils from the almost like the cursive writing from the T actually joins onto the L. It's as if there's 2 capital letters there, but one joins, as if it's all been done with one stroke. As if you were doing it and then just came down. So they're not actually, they are joined, but it doesn't say T and L. It just says TL. Yeah. And now are you cancelling your spell?
Was there anything inside? Was there any inside the throat?
Do you want to open it?
Yes.
Yeah. So you open it and there seems to be some kind of parchment inside. You're not too sure what it was. It could have been maybe an image or a picture or a message, but the ink on the parchment is sort of like seeped as if it's been wet or something like that, and now it just looks like some kind of ink blot that has drained down away from through the paper. You figure that just roll for me, double your intelligence. It's just like a customs check. If it's not a customs check, but just roll. Sorry, your intelligence times 5. Sorry.
Intelligence times 5.
Yeah.
So it will be 70.
Okay.
Oops.
Do you want to roll a D100? I think you might succeed on a D20. I succeeded.
Clicked the wrong one. Did
This
it work?
game's so easy.
This game's so easy. I make all my rolls.
All of them.
Yeah. So you figure it was probably a message, some kind of writing, rather than a picture. You can, just as you see it, especially underneath your lantern light, it looks like there was 2, maybe 3 lines of text, but they're not like a sentence. It was probably maybe 3 words, one on top of the other.
Like, I love you.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. It could have been that.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that's the positive emotion finish for the day. Yeah, so it could have been that, but it might have been sort of like, have fun tonight.
Yeah.
don't forget the shopping.
Yeah. Okay.
Sod you, adulteress.
Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, Hengist is up and well. You've now got lanterns back. Hasra, let's nip over to you because you are deep in the next
I'm over
continent.
the floor and I'm like, what am I doing? Yes,
Yeah. What do you wish to do?
Atlantis, I found you. I'm here. I'm on the floor. I'm looking around them. I'm going to turn around 180 degrees, and I'm going to look where I've been, and I'm going to go back as swiftly as possible.
Yeah,
to where I've
so
been.
you sort of like turn round and look back, and you know, if you carry on a straight line, you'll just hit a tree.
I will keep it at general, but at the same time, I want to look at the floor.
Okay,
Yes,
number
yeah,
one,
yes,
yeah, make for me either a tracking or survival check. I'm quite happy for you to do either or, but only one of them.
Oh, I will look that if you don't mind. So yes, I use a point to look on that.
Yeah, okay then. So you start to see where you have ploughed your way through the undergrowth. You can see that you've snapped branches left, right, and centre. You know, it also looks like several times you must have put your hand up against almost like a moss-covered tree as you ran into it and pushed yourself off it to go off in a different direction. And you start making your way back and sort of like probably go at a little bit faster than a walk, but not a run because of you're tired. And can you just make a perception roll for me, please?
So,
Yeah, and you start to head back, and eventually you start to see the lantern light ahead of you that you assume might be your party. Okay, we're going to come back to Gulliver and Hengist and Bartleby now because it's going to take some time for Hasra to actually get back, if he's actually travelling back to you and not into the hands of some group of bandits. So yeah,
building beasts.
Gulliver, Bartleby and Hengist, what would you like to do?
Gulliver's wants. I mean, he's going to have to cancel the. He's going to have to cancel the spell.
Oh yeah, are you going to cancel it?
So yeah. I don't know whether or not you've seen the. Do you want me to link the spell description again?
Oh no, I know what it's going to do. Yeah.
Okay. So he's going to cancel it.
Yeah. So you cancel the spell, and the pendant sort of like returns to roughly where it would have been around the Shrike's neck at the point that you summon it, and it does sort of like you sort of like cancels the spell and it goes back there. And it almost like looks as if it's round her neck, and then it just falls to the ground.
Okay, so he's going to go over and pick it up.
Yeah.
With the lantern, and then once he's picked that up, he'll put it in his tunic. But then he wants to go and look for his disc. His symbol of Fladnag.
Yeah, you can find that quite easily. Yeah, Hengist and Bartleby, is there anything that you would like to do?
I've just been trying to assess whether or not Hengist is hysterical, or whether or not he needs some healing. And
He
if
seems
neither of
quite.
those are necessary, then
Yeah, you think if anything, he looks quite sweaty and as if he's been through some kind of shock. But apart from that, he's not injured in any way, but probably nothing that a good night's sleep and a cup of herbal tea wouldn't remedy. He does look like he literally looks like he's in shock.
I've got a prayer for him then. And I know this won't really have much like mechanic value, but I feel that Bartleby would pray to give him a little bit of energy so that he can at least make it back to camp.
I thought you were going to calm him. That's what I thought you were
I've been considering that. But he's not hysterical. I don't need to dampen the passions.
Yeah, dampen the back. Yeah, okay then. So that'll be on him now until the next scene, so to speak.
Would I be able to roll with casting in minutes?
Yeah, by all means. So it'll just be an easy roll for it.
This entire time, Hengist is just muttering about not being able to breathe and
and
arms extending.
And Bartleby seems to
being lifted. And that sort of thing.
And Bartleby sort of like touches your shoulder and mutters some prayer to Amriel, and you think you feel a little bit better, but not that much unless there's luck.
It could have been just.
I wanted to use luck.
Around for 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So Bartleby's just whispering in your ear. By all means, you can re-roll it.
Luck to re-roll. Yes.
Yeah. And you feel renewed vigor in you, Hengist. You feel that you're not as tired as what you were before, and the increase in adrenaline, etc., seems to start to calm your nerves. Do you want to say anything to Bartleby or Gulliver?
He's just going to. After that, he's like going to shiver a little bit. It's like resets himself and deep breath in, and then he's just going to turn to Bartleby, clap him on the opposite arm and say thank you, and then he's just going to sort of look around as if he's finally aware of what's going on, where his surrounding is, and
cool.
Gulliver, and look for his first reaction after that is, where's Gulliver gone? And oh, there he is, type thing.
Yeah, Gulliver's over, and he's
going to say, what happened, Hengist?
I had the strangest sensation. It was quite frightening, and not much frightens me. It seems to be that she reached out without moving, and her arms just kept slowly coming and extending, and she grabbed me around my throat and started lifting me up into the trees, whilst at the same time slowly strangling me. And I tried my hardest. I grabbed hold of her arms, but my fingers just went through them, like as if it was like through if you had butter in your hand and you just slowly squeezed the butter, and then they reappeared as if I'd not done anything. I finally managed to break free though, and then fell, and it felt like I broke both legs at the same time when I landed. But then I woke up on my back.
That's not
most
what
strange.
I saw.
That's not what. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
That's not what I saw.
Oh right.
All of a sudden, you just fell to the floor, and you just started to writhe about as if you were having a fit. And then I thought at one point you were going to strangle yourself. Your hands were getting closer and closer to your neck. But when I cast my spell, it seemed to be attracted to the amulet that was round her neck. So I summoned it, and she vanished.
It sounds like it was very good timing, Gulliver. Once again, I must thank you.
It's almost as if she was playing with our minds.
Yes.
I've been taught to have a strong mind, and I think that's why I wasn't affected. You should never believe everything that you see.
Gulliver or Bartleby, if you wish to roll either your invocation or your devotion to get more information about what might have happened from a theory side of things, then you can roll that. However, I just need to make you aware right now that it won't be a standard roll, because this is not within any of your area of expertise. So it's a bit like having an arcana roll. You can do it, but it will be of a more difficult grade because it's not what you're used to. But if you want more information, then I'm quite happy for you to roll either or both.
Would monsters qualify for this at all?
Say again, sorry.
Lore of monsters, would that apply here at all?
No.
I'll just roll an invocation and see what I get.
Yeah. Okay. Do you wish to look it?
No.
Okay then. No, you've heard a lot of strange things, but you've never heard of anything from the spirit world. It's not what you sort of like engage with at all. Bartleby, do you wish to roll your devotion? That's such it's such a wonderful title just for devotion. Yes. Do you wish to look it at all?
No, I'm going to spend more time trying to listen to Hengist carefully.
Okay. Yeah. So So as same with you, spirits is not within your area of expertise. Gulliver, you do sort of like pass a passing thought at this point and say, if only Lady Miko was here, she might have been able to explain it.
Gulliver's going to say, I just remembered one of the teachings of Master Healy had, and one of his sayings, and that was, don't trust everything you see. Even sod looks like sugar.
Even what? Sorry.
Salt.
Oh, I thought you said sod. I'm thinking sod.
Why would sod look like sugar?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why everybody was going, what?
No,
I didn't. I got it. I understood.
No wonder my coffee tastes rubbish.
And then I thought you said shod.
You need to listen to what people say.
Hasra comes back into the limelight, or lantern light, by the way, carrying his beloved spear.
The spear like this, and I'm like, what happened? I thought you were following me. I thought we were running away. There's like blood, and this woman. Why didn't you follow me? Was I the only one? Maybe I don't know.
No, you all didn't follow me. I was leading to safety.
I was going to safety deep in the forest, in the woods.
I thought you were going for help.
I thought you were just running away.
No, I found my spear.
Bartleby, you notice that Hasra has an injury to his left leg.
That's excellent. I'll make my way over to healing his leg, ideally with this.
I was attacked when I was out there.
Yeah. Okay then. Yeah, and so tell me what you do to Hasra's leg. That's a successful roll.
While Hasra's mumbling and whatnot, I'll just walk on over there and get down and place my hands on his leg and just grab the wound with my fingers of gnarliness.
That's my wound.
What was it? Just a minor wound, Hasra?
It was, yes, it was just half of what I have.
Yeah, that's cool then. Yeah.
The power of moonlight steaming from my fingers. And I cure your leg.
I can feel Embryo entering me.
Something quite unnerving about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Embryo's just sealing your wound. She's staying out of your bloodstream.
Yes, Gulliver. Sorry, you wanted to ask.
No, it was an out of character question.
Oh yes, sorry. Yeah.
I can't remember about what was said on the previous session. I know that Hasra had been told the story of the
Yeah.
but I didn't know whether or not he had related that to us or not.
I did at some point during when we first set off. I did say about the scream, and I did mumble about, if memory serves me, about the story that the guards had told me about a woman being.
I think it would be a suitable time to, you know, inform the party more succinctly, you know, more to the point without Hasra, so you can sort of like relate what the guards said to you.
That's it.
I had to Google intangible because I didn't know which one it was.
All right, I see what you
I
mean.
could see it or I couldn't see it, or I could grab it or I couldn't grab it. So I had to Google that, and then you just use another word that I don't know what.
You wait till I use inflammable.
No, which one do you normally use? I have to say what? Dichotomy.
Dichotomy.
Yeah.
There's a dichotomy, yeah.
Yeah.
Because inflammable and flammable both mean the same thing, don't they?
They do indeed. No, no, they don't.
No.
Okay,
No.
then. Go for it.
Longshanks.
Up to you, Medivac. You said it first.
No.
Which two?
Flammable and inflammable.
Flammable.
Flammable is, but it
It's
will.
the-
Flammable
Because
means
potential
easily
setting
set
fire.
on fire.
Okay, then. And look underneath where it says synonyms, which
Synonyms.
synonyms.
Flammable.
Yes.
Burnable, combustible, incendiary, unstable,
So a synonym
and dichotomy.
Cinnamon.
is a word you can use for that word. So the word is flammable, but a synonym for it is
By the way,
inflammable.
watchers, this is our learning session.
Yeah, it doesn't actually have. It's used both ways. It's not known as an opposite. If it was an opposite, it wouldn't be a synonym. It would be an antonym.
Can I just say this is why you're no fun at a pub?
Yeah,
Oh,
but it's why I always win pub
I know
quizzes.
what you mean.
Yeah.
A plethora.
This huge conker falls from the sky. This one. And it's like one of those minefield, you know, those mines that you get floating. You know that when you're in a submarine, it catches on it.
As was sort of like
Gulliver's now got a horse chestnut seed on his.
Well, beats
GMs like that. When you get at them, they make something nasty happen. to you.
It does crack open slightly, and you think there's a right conker inside.
Maybe a horse chestnut, but wait for the chuffing squirrel.
Yeah, yeah, that you have dropped, Hasra. Just so you know.
Yes.
Oh, I was about to say, he pulled it out of his pants.
I can use this later.
Okay, guys. So you're stood in the middle of a dark forest at the moment. What do you wish to do?
Well, I will.
Oh yeah, sorry. Retell the story. Yes, I forgot about that. Go for it.
When I was on my watch, I heard a scream, and I mentioned it to the guards. The guards they told me about this woman that was dragged away from her caravan that she was on by men from the forest, and they did terrible things to her. And finally, after a long time, they killed her, and now according to the guard, she haunts these woods and traps men and kills them here, seeking a vicious revenge of what was done to her. Now, I did not believe it until I saw that apparition and what it did to you. I don't know what it did to you, Hengist, because I wasn't there. I was running for help at the time.
That's what they all say.
Did they?
When I saw it appear, I suddenly realised I must go back and get these guards because they know more.
Did they mention her name? Hasra?
No.
No.
They're just a woman. They don't know. But we still need to find, I remember we still need to find Matilda.
Yeah, I was just about to ask who actually has that brass locket.
We did get Matilda crudely inscribed locket.
Yeah.
So
You found it in the underbush, yeah.
Yeah, somebody picked it up. So one of us has it. But we
Okay.
still need to find Matilda. This poor girl is out here
It's probably me who has it actually, because I was the one who went over.
That's right. You
Okay.
went it alone, didn't you? And we followed because I said you shouldn't go alone.
Okay, just to let you know, Gulliver, there's a stark difference between the two lockets that you have. The one with Matilda on it is almost like inscribed with single, as if somebody's taken a chisel.
That's why I was asking whether.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted to.
Yeah, but the other one, the one with the T and the L on, is much better craftsmanship. You do think from your commerce roll that the one with the TL would probably go for hundreds of silver pieces. It might even, go up to gold in that sense.
The Matilda story, because was that Bartleby's, one of Bartleby's?
Yeah, so Bartleby met Glun. Yeah.
Who was?
Do you remember, Glenn? Because Matilda had gone away, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So Matilda had headed towards Aylesford.
Bartleby can tell you, yeah.
Glun's brother Dake
Yep.
and his best friend Matilda, who was with Dake, left to go start a pig. No, that might not be right. They're going to Aylesford. I
Yeah.
don't think there's a big farm up there though.
Yeah, he said that they would be travelling north to Aylesford to start their new life, a new business, to get away, and they had left Glun with the pig farm or the pig business, and you got the impression that Glun was somewhat taken by Matilda, as if they were friends, but maybe nothing romantic actually came of it in the end. And his mood actually brightened when you were saying that you were going northwards, and he asked you to share his best wishes with Matilda, and sort of like say that he still was thinking of her, etc.
And you left him unhappy now because he's going to make a go of it.
Yeah.
And do something with the pig farm.
Yeah, you boosted his motivation, his intrinsic motivation, and he suddenly became a much more sort of like brighter.
Right.
And
I'm
yeah.
not ashamed of him, if memory serves me.
Yeah, and he was really impressed that you were going to share his best wishes to Matilda, at
And
Aylesford.
when we were in the clearing where we found the necklace with the engraving of,
Yeah.
there was a sign of struggle, but there was no
bodies.
There was no bodies, but there was sort of like tattered like backpacks and things like that, as if there had been some kind of not necessarily a battle. There was no
It's like they shredded off them, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Off them forcefully.
Yeah, as if they weren't particularly bothered about the bags or anything. It was almost like they sort of like had dragged something or someone had dragged people off, and that's what you were following via Hasra's skill roll. And if you remember, it had literally I'll just draw it on so you remember. Can you remember? It literally sort of like came round like that.
That's right, yes.
And you were following it round, and it's just where Bartleby is stood now that Bartleby noticed something drop onto Gulliver's shoulder.
We thought it was a predator.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then there was some red eye beams coming across, and you thought, and then Hasra ran.
Yeah.
And Bartleby saw Hasra running in a different direction, thought it was a race back to base, and he ran the other direction.
That's right.
And nobody else thought to put any points into willpower apart from Gulliver. Gulliver's got like 100 willpower.
You cannot harm me. Like a shield of steel.
Yeah, so that's where you just
So I
before
think-
the Shrike attacked. Yeah.
I think that we are still need to find what happened to Matilda, so I think we should follow the trail further. I know we've had a harrowing experience, but we must push forward. This poor girl could be in dire need of help.
Are you able to pick up the tracks again, Hasra?
I hope so. I mean, I'm tired.
Yeah. You. How many minutes for that to go?
I would need for my fatigue 1 hour. Because I'm 2 levels, so it's 1 hour for me.
Okay then. So yeah. So you can either rest for you. You wouldn't rest for another hour. You've probably had about 15-20 minutes having this discussion at the moment. So you can either sit here and wait another 40 minutes before you head off, or you can head off now. It's up to you.
I've got a third choice.
Oh yes, sorry.
A little lady named Amriel. If I
I,
could use that spell by any chance.
Yes, by all means.
please, sir, can I go for option number 3?
But can I use minutes here? I
Yes.
know we have.
Yeah.
It's less than 40 minutes. But.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you looking that?
With
Oh no,
using
yeah,
minutes-
sorry, you make minutes. Yeah, so yeah, so that's absolutely fine. So you remove. Do tell me how that manifests itself, because you use this a lot.
In this case, since we are in the ideal time, kind of getting around the nighttime, the moon shining through the sky, it's probably blocked out a lot by the trees. But just over Hasra, the light shines through the trees, filtered a little bit by the leaves, shines on him and fills him with the energy to keep going.
Cool.
Maybe search for some tracks.
Yeah. So please remember, Hasra, that when the spell kicks off, finishes, you will take 2 levels of. Because am I right in that?
I'm a little confused on it because it says that all fatigue effects gained from laborious activity are ignored but return on the spell's dismissal. But then it also says it negates the effects of a tire spell, which is only 1 level of fatigue, if I'm not mistaken.
So it removes all levels of activity of fatigue if you cast it. So even if Hasra was exhausted or debilitated, it would reduce him to normal, because that's just normal fatigue.
but once he stops concentrating, I go back to being tired.
Yeah. So for the being offset for the spell's duration, all fatigue gained from the laborious tasks are ignored. Oh, I see.
So what's the standard duration then?
It's done in scenes. So say for example the next scene would be as you walk through, basically imagine that a combat is a scene. So at the end of it, but I'm just reading that again.
I think I get it now. It's mundane labor fatigue is all negated, but if it was a magical source, there would only be 1 level, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, because what I was reading it as is that you cast it before they do laborious activity. So for the spell duration, all of fatigue effects gained from laborious activity are ignored, but return.
Nothing's really boring.
Can you see what I mean? I'm quite happy to play it how it is at the moment.
And that's maybe why it's classed as a folk magic.
Yeah,
Because,
I think,
but the folk magics aren't as.
Yeah, so what I'm quite happy to play how it is, because it doesn't affect game at all at the moment. But yeah, so basically what will so it's mundane will reduce it by anything, but because of a tire spell, it just negates that, because I think a tired spell increases it just by 1 level, doesn't
What
it?
level of fatigue?
Yeah. But so really and truly, that is not physical fatigue. It's magic induced
that's right. Where
fatigue.
mine is actual physical fatigue.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay then. So what are you guys doing then?
I would like to look for tracks following where we were going originally.
Okay, yeah. So roll your tracking skill for me. Oh, that's a nice roll. Crit then. Yeah.
I see dead people.
You actually pick up the track quite readily, and because of that crit roll, you can't sort of like see it here because of the movement, but you can see it over here, and you pick it up quite well. You notice that it's definitely something or someone or some people have been physically dragged.
I was going to ask if it was dragged or walking.
Yeah, it's definitely dragged. And okay, it's because it's a critical. I'll also tell you that it's more than one person. It could be anything between. Well, I'll tell you, it's 3 bodies are being dragged.
Three.
Because it's a critical, and I'm in a good mood.
Okay. Are they old?
No. You've had it. That's it.
Was any of them wearing moccasins?
Don't push your luck, Hasra.
Does any of them smoke?
Only from friction burns.
Yeah. So these are all dragged at the same time. I would have thought I'd be able to tell at the same time.
You're not having any more information.
You find tracks of 3 people being dragged through the forest, the undergrowth.
Oh, well, ask me more now.
But Hasra's from the steppes. He would know whether or not any of them had moccasins.
Or fluffy little slippers.
Can we? We'll form a marching order with probably Hasra, and then Gulliver will go behind because he's got a lantern, so that Hasra can see what's happening.
Cool. Yeah, and then what about? Oh, that's body's not there anymore. Yeah, and then so Hasra, Gulliver, who's next?
Bartleby can go next. Hengist will bring up the rear.
Okay. So is the plan now to follow the tracks as far as you can go?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Okay then. So just before we take our break, so imagine that the map is moving, but you're staying still. So it's just sort of like pushing down, and so you don't want. Just before we take the break, just for something, can you please all roll a perception check for me, please? So Bartleby, yes. Hasra, yes. Gulliver, no. Do you wish to look it?
No, I don't have any luck left, just so you know.
All right. Okay, cool. And Hengist, are you lucky?
Hengist is not looking now. Hengist only has 1 luck, so no.
Okay then, cool. Okay then, so you head off, walking deeper and deeper into the forest, and 2 things that you notice. You notice that the trees are getting more and more dense, and you notice that the track, Hasra, is becoming more and more, it's definitely newer. As you get further in, and you also notice that beforehand they were sort of like dragging 3 people almost like separate tracks, but you do notice that as the forest becomes more and more dense, that they're actually in single file now. And if you hadn't picked it up at the beginning about the 3, it looks like they're hiding their numbers, to use a Star Wars quote. Yeah, and you also notice that they seem to be almost like more urgent. You know, they're moving a lot quicker now. And the final thing, just before we go to the break, you can see that every now and again there's almost like a broken twig or a bent piece of bracken or something like that, as if maybe one of them has kicked a leg out or something like that.
Yes.
And you're sort of like looking down, and you sort of like say, you know, up ahead, and you almost like come round what appears to be a huge trunked oak tree that has quite a significant girth on the trunk, and there is obviously that they couldn't go through it and go around it. And as Hasra, you lead round it, you notice through the trees ahead of you, about 100 meters away, you can see the flickering of what appears to be some kind of campfire through the trees. It seems to be, it doesn't look like it's been hidden or anything like that, but there's definitely, it's not a raging fire, probably something that has producing heat or cooking light, not big, but it definitely has flames there. And we will leave it there for our first break. So we will be gone for about 10 minutes, so please do come back or stay with us and enjoy. Go grab your favorite beverage and a snack, and we will be back in precisely 10 minutes. Do come back and join us. Yeah, so we're back. Yeah, Perseverance is an interesting spell because it says, whilst the miracle remains active, the target of this spell will not receive another level of fatigue, no matter the hardship faced. So it almost like suggests that, say, for example, it doesn't remove the fatigue. It says, whilst the miracle remains active, the target of the spell will not receive another level of fatigue. So, and it's almost like I'm wondering whether or not is vigor actually more powerful than that. Therefore, so yeah, go for it.
Well, and that's why I'd always assumed that vigor was just a temporary band-aid for fatigue levels, and casting perseverance is more of knowing what we're going into, and a better if we're like going to be crossing a desert and we need to not be suffering from dehydration as much.
Yeah,
but,
I think what I might say, and I'm just talking off the top of my head now, it might be wise that if we say, so vigor,
3 spells.
Vigor can either remove fatigue or make it so they won't gain fatigue, but it can't remove and not allow them to gain. Because you can either cast it before and they don't get. I need to look at it because the perseverance has to be more powerful than the vigor. So
Agreed.
I will look into that. So yeah,
I don't agree with vigor not stopping you gaining fatigue. You should always have a chance of gaining fatigue.
yeah. Well, it basically vigor says that if it's cast on you before the event, all fatigue level effects gained from laborious activity are ignored until the spell wears off. But the other interesting thing is, vigor doesn't require concentration. So it's almost like I think what it would be like vigor is that it's saying, right, you're about to dig through.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, you're about to move the logs off the road that had a fatigue rating to it. So if Bartleby cast vigor on you, you wouldn't gain any fatigue while doing it. However, once you are finished, it sounds to me almost like a berserker spell.
Yeah, it's like a quick fix.
And you sort of like when you go berserk, you get all this wonderful energy, but shows the berserk stops.
It bites you in the backside.
Yeah. So anyway, there's no need to think about it now. I'll have a look at it tomorrow morning when I'm in Costa. So I'm going to move you all to the base of the map. Okay. So we will assume that this is the tree here that you are coming round. Do you remember me saying that it come round? And just to let you know, let me just get my fire, my faithful fire. Where is it? Fire lizard,
Fire Drake,
fire dwarf, fire.
Fire the Cannon.
Are we on the fire level?
Oh yeah. Do, do, do.
I can't even find. Where's my nice? I found the bonfire from Call of Cthulhu.
Who's that?
Is that the Wicker Man one?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a fun episode.
Yeah. Can I just say that the sound in Zoom's now fixed? I can actually watch YouTube.
Oh, cool. That's good though.
Sound.
I heard the music in the last battle.
Yeah, and I heard the music in the last battle. I don't normally hear.
Exactly, I didn't hear it. I thought it was because I'm using these headphones rather than my other headphones.
Yeah.
Clearly not.
It's not fixed for me.
Is it not?
No.
Okay.
I just tried it.
So if you look further up the map, you can now see where the fire is.
It's moving.
It's not in a clearing. I need to be very clear about that. It's not sort of like, it just looks like it's, you see it flickering around, and Hasra, you can't see it directly from where you are because of this tree in front of you, but you can see the light reflecting and off other trees around you. Apart from the flickering of the flames, you can't perceive any people or anything like that.
So no shadows.
No,
No.
it just seems to be literally the fire. Yeah, it's not raging. It just seems to be quite as if it was. You figure, just roll your survival skill.
So,
Have we all seen the fire flickering?
Yeah, well, what's happened is that Hasra's called you to the halt. So anybody who made their perception roll, start to see it. And yeah, so you figure, Hasra, that it was probably lit when it started to get dusk. And it was probably quite a substantial flame then. But now it's a lot lower. There's still a bit of flame. It's not embers, but it is quite a lot lower. Yeah.
upon seeing this, Hasra's going to put his hand up and like, quiet. I can see a possible fire ahead. That's all I can assume is like a campfire, perhaps. This flickering of the trees. If you look, people, just through the trees, you can see the glow. Now, Hengist, my friend, you are the tactician here. I'm just a simple nomad. What do you think, we should go straight in or maybe surround?
Do you want me to roll a roll before I answer Inmos?
It's completely up to you.
Can upon hearing this, can Gulliver make?
Yeah, so Gulliver sort of like almost like walks into the back of Hasra because he hasn't seen it, I don't think. But Bartleby and Hengist, you have seen. Sorry, Gulliver. What was the other thing you said?
When Hasra said what he said about seeing it, and Gulliver wants to make some attempt to cover the lantern that he's carrying.
Yeah, okay. You can probably shutter them down slightly, and Bartleby, you can probably do the same if you wish. Yeah.
Hengist is going to roll it.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Alan Panache.
Exactly. So Hengist like thinks for half a heartbeat, and then says, "I think we should spread out a little bit and come at them from at least two sides, going off in pairs and working together that way."
I agree, my friend. You are wise in this thing, in the ways of tactics.
Gulliver, you go with Hasra, and I'll take Bartleby and Hasra and Gulliver. You go in from the left, and we'll go in from the right.
But can Gulliver heal me?
Gulliver's going to sort of like get really close to Hengist, and he's going to say, "I don't think Hasra likes me."
Fine. Bartleby, are you happy to go with Hasra?
I mean, obviously, but I'm good with
Okay,
whatever.
so
Why not?
you two of you go around and flank to the left, and we'll go around and flank to the right, and we'll meet in the middle.
And then Gulliver's going to look at what Hengist is carrying and say,
It's not carrying anything.
"I'll go with Hasra." I don't want to be with a person that's got no weapons.
Yeah, but you just see Hengist's arms, but he's not got any armor on his arms. So you just see all the rippling biceps.
It's like a tortoise.
Gulliver's going to go and stand next to Hasra.
Gulliver, my friend, you're wise by following me. But stay a little bit behind, though.
But what if we don't need to attack?
Well, the most important thing is if we are safe in what we do. Always take precautions before you enter an unknown situation.
Okay, so which team is going up to the camp then, and how will we communicate that?
You know, if me and my young friend here, Gulliver, if we go to the left of the camp, and you, Mr. Bartleby, with the power of Amriel, and the ex-guard Hengist go to the right of the camp, and maybe when we're in a position, if I could hoot
like a man.
hoot like a cow.
Grunt like a pig.
If I could make a lumpefting noise. If I could make a noise of the night, maybe the people, maybe if I go, then maybe you will.
Did you say a noise of the night?
Yeah.
What, like snoring?
Like a bird of prey.
I will badly whistle a bird of prey, like an owl on the hunt.
I think we should make our way there, but pause before and assess the situation. And if they seem like a threat or unfriendly, then we can attack them.
Hey, yes, let me stop you right there because I'm already concerned about many aspects of this plan. We need to move quickly. Amriel will protect you, Hengist. I'm put both my hands on, and I'm going to begin to pray that nothing goes wrong in this plan. Great, Amriel.
Gulliver's going to go over and stand next to Bartleby.
What I says, when I get in position, I will shout, "I'm in position!"
They are no threat. Let's go.
No.
Would I be able to take minutes here?
It's up to you.
Well, hopefully before the fire goes out.
I'm not taking minutes.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Okay, so I will stick a shield onto. Where's my shield gone? Oh, there it is.
Hopefully, the glory of Amriel will protect Hengist in the worst scenario and warm the hearts of whomever we are going to be meeting with in the best scenario.
So, Gulliver, what? Yeah, thank you. So, can you ping on the map where
I'm
each?
thinking behind there for us, behind this tree.
Right. So.
I'm assuming that's a slight hillock there.
Yeah, I mean, that would be very close to the camp.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy with that?
Well,
Maybe
is going round this.
Here.
Well,
I mean that's literally that tree is literally 2 meters away from the centre of the camp.
My thought is they can be blinded by the light of the campfire if anybody is there, and if we come down below this hillock here where I'm drawing, and to here, they in theory hopefully won't be able to see us. But if need be,
all I wanted to make you aware of is that is 2 meters away from the camp. If you're going to this place here,
right, okay, in that case, and so you are right, yeah. So perhaps maybe a bit further back, maybe here.
Okay, so you're going to head off to this position, and where is Hengist and Bartleby going to go? Okay then. So so you head off.
Gulliver wants to try to move as quietly as possible as he follows.
Okay.
Hasra.
Cool. Do you have a stealth roll? Well,
I do indeed.
Cool.
Do you want me to do it now?
Yes, please. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yeah, you're going very, very quiet. Hasra, do you wish to make a stealth roll or not?
I'm going to completely fumble this, aren't I?
I will let you augment it with your. Oh, you don't need it. With your survival, I would have let you augment it with your survival because you're used to this sort of like terrain. Yeah, so you, Hasra and Gulliver, you make your way there, both moving like black panthers through the jungle. You know, there's not a twig snap or anything between there and then. Hengist and Bartleby, are you doing the same thing or not?
I thought the plan was for us to make friendly contact, right?
Well, we're going to get in position first, observe, and then make friendly contact to see if they are friendly.
Then we should probably stealth.
There's no point wandering up to a guy with a sword and say, "Hi, my name is." Are you a friendly person? For it to stick you in.
My view was that out of character. Sorry, this.
Yeah, that was as well.
Yeah, my view was they were dragging bodies this way. They must be bad guys.
So is Hengist and Bartleby using stealth? And if you are, then go ahead and roll it.
Would I be able to augment it with my survival skill?
If you wish, yeah.
Oh god, it's 10%, isn't it? So that.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I use a point of luck to reroll?
Yes, by all means.
Oh.
Make sure that Hengist is not ashamed of me. What?
You got the same roll. How lucky is that? You spent a roll of luck. There you go. Yeah. So you sort of like head off in opposite directions, and you arrive at your chosen position. And at this point, Hasra and Gulliver, can you take your headphones off? And please keep watching, because when I do this, it means you need to put your headphones back on again. Okay, so if you take your headphones off and you can still hear, then use whatever you need to do to reduce your sound, so to speak. Okay, so you get to the Hengist and Bartleby, you sort of like make your way round to this point. And Hengist, you are moving so silently and adeptly. It's unbelievable. Bartleby, on the other hand, is not as quiet, and he seems to have this unnerving ability to stand on twigs. And then when you hear a snap, he says, "Sorry," like this to you all the time, and you sort of like get round to this tree where you are now. What would you both like to do?
Hengist is gonna sort of like slowly poke his head around the tree, and he wants to try and observe what's going on in the fire.
So roll a perception roll. This is not what you see, it's just so I know how much information you see. Okay,
I made a perception roll.
You actually see around the fire what appears to be maybe 4, maybe 5 bodies that appear to be lying on the floor. From this distance, it looks like they're either on their sides or on their backs. It looks like as if they've turned in for the night, and they're sort of like sleeping round the fire. What would you like to do? Just so you know, guys, what I'm going to say to you is, what would you like to do? And then I'm going to switch to the other ones, ask them what they would like to do, and then play both actions off at the same time. Okay, so Hengist and Bartleby, that's what you've seen. What would you like to
do? Just to clarify, would I need to roll perception to have seen that as well, or were you just saying that I've got the information?
I'm quite happy that
Hengist
Hengist would have told,
whispers.
into whispers, yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Hengist is going to lean to Bartleby and go, "They seem to all be asleep. Can't see a watchman. I think we should try and approach."
This does seem to be the appropriate time to be sleeping. Makes sense.
This is true. But I think we need a closer look.
Oh, so you're going to approach the camp?
Yes.
Okay. Whereabouts do you want the end of your action to be? If you show me. Okay. Cool. Okay.
I'm going to hide behind Hengist.
Okay.
Hengist is a big chap. You're fine.
Excellent. Okay, so if you can take your headphones off now, and I'll signal to the others to put them on. Okay.
Hello.
And can you hear? Yeah, brilliant. So, as you're moving around your side, you hear the snapping of twigs over the other side, where Hengist and Bartleby are moving, and you're not too sure, but every time you hear a snap, you can swear you can hear a familiar voice going, "Sorry." As they're walking around, and you get to this tree, and I'm just going to move you round that way, because I think that's more how you would be when you got there. You probably moved around and ushered Gulliver around the side. So I presume you're peeping around the side, Hasra?
Indeed.
Yeah, so can you make a perception roll for me? This is to see the amount of detail you see, not what you see. Nice one. Okay then, so don't forget to tick it. So you see...
Oh, I've already got a tick.
Yeah, you see... That's it then, just ignore it. You don't get a double roll. You look around, and there seems to be somewhere between 4 or 6 bodies. They all seem to be lying down, and they seem to be lying down either on the side or on their back, round the fire, almost like 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, or there might be 4 over the other side. You're not too sure. There seems to be no activity in the camp at all. They just seem to be as if they've pulled up their blankets, whatever, and is asleep. Just to let you know now, I'm going to ask you what your action's going to be. I already know what Hengist and Bartleby's action is, and then what I'll do is that I'll bring you all in and I'll play them off simultaneously. So the question is Hasra and Gulliver. It is assumed, Gulliver, that Hasra has relayed this message to you in hushed whispers. What would you both like to do?
Okay, well, Hasra first off will lean back to Gulliver and say, "Gulliver, or whisper, Gulliver, my young friend. They seem to all be asleep, which is strange. If I had the camp, I would have watchers out. Stay here, and I will move forward, and to the next position, which would be right here, and see if I can get closer and see if I can find anything else out."
Okay, so the idea is that you're going to move to the cover of that tree, and
Yes.
Gulliver, what will you be doing?
Gulliver wants to take out one of his throwing stones as Hasra starts to move off, and he wants to move to the position where Hasra is, and he wants to have a closer look at the camp.
To where Hasra is now?
Yes, because
Yeah.
at the moment, Hasra's just relayed what.
Okay, and Hasra, you're moving up. Don't ping it, but you're moving up to that
To the
tree.
next tree,
Yeah, and looking around, or what?
Yeah, I want to, just because it seems strange that there's no guards, no watch.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, then you can keep your headphones on. I'll just signal for the others to join us, and then I will play out what actually is what is happening. So to start off with, I'll tell you when you can actually act independently. I'll move you to start off with. So Hasra, you move first, and just for the sake of argument, and you move up to this tree and take another look. So in a second, you can roll a perception. Gulliver, you prepare your throwing stone and move to this position, so you can roll a perception in a second. And then Hasra, you see on the opposite side Hengist and Bartleby approaching the camp through that gap, and they seem to be walking towards the camp. They seem to be quite well. We'll see whether or not they're quite silent in a second. Okay, then let's start with you, Gulliver, because yours is just a perception roll. Go for it. Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, there definitely seems to be a grand total of 6 bodies here. Most definitely 6 bodies. And then I'm going to type you something in Discord. Oh, you can't understand intangible, can't you? I'll just put see-through.
Saves me having to put it into Google Translate into stupid. It's easily confused tangible and intangible.
Well, I thought tangible was like an orange.
That's tangerine.
Oh.
Okay, that's your perception roll. Hasra, your perception roll now.
Certainly. Lies a bit.
Yeah, okay then. Just 1 second. So you see this. You're doing really well at the moment, guys, because remember, if you wish to communicate, then you can communicate, but not even out of character at this time. Okay, Hengist and Bartleby, can you roll your stealth skills for me, please?
Like a master. Stealth.
I can hear Bartleby going across the tree.
You can hear Bartleby, and you can also hear
That's fine. We won't try.
Hengist, and you saw Hasra. So from your place of cover, you look down and you suddenly catch torchlight coming from the other direction. You sort of like look round, and you can see that Hengist and Bartleby have come out of their cover, and they're sort of like walking up, and they stop there, and we're going to keep on Hengist and Bartleby. You can see exactly what I said to you beforehand. The only difference is at this range you can see 6. There's definitely 6, and just so you gain some indication of where they are, everyone, I'll just put them on as like this. Yeah, does that make sense?
You get them all around.
I just need to move this one slightly, and I can do it.
Is that the fat one?
Yeah, that's definitely a fat hair.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so they look a bit like that. So yeah, Hengist and Bartleby, what would you like to do?
Are there weapons laying out that we can see, like a giant battle axe or long swords or anything?
It looks as if they're almost like you can't see any weapons out at all. There is something that you do notice, Bartleby, just on that tree next to you. This one here. You do notice that there seems to be an arrow stuck into, as if it doesn't look like it's been put there on purpose. It looks like somebody's fired it, and it's literally here. So just so you know, it's sort of like sticking out like that from the tree. So you figure somebody would have been behind you in order to fire it. So still with Hengist and Bartleby, what would you like to do? So you, Bartleby, you see this as you walk up, stepping on all the twigs.
I point to the arrow, probably loudly, so Hengist knows, and then I want to look back and try and see if there's an archer down the path or where an archer might have been.
Okay. In this sort of, can you just ping which area you would?
Yeah, let me zoom properly. Well, I think I'm just mostly probably looking in this direction.
Yeah, got you. Yeah. Hengist, what would you like to do?
Hengist. Hengist is probably still going to be approaching the camp. He's not trying to be stealthy, and when he gets within whatever firelight that there is, he will announce himself.
Okay.
Make his presence clearly known.
Fine. Okay then. So Gulliver and Hasra, you've had your action with your perception, etc., etc. So as you sort of like gazing around, Hasra, and sort of like counting bodies, and you are as well, Gulliver, and trying to work out the odds, you know, for and against. Hengist walks to the camp, and Bartleby, you sort of like gazing off back into the thing, so like dropping your lamplight slightly so it doesn't interfere with your gaze of looking into the night. Bartleby, just roll me a perception score. A perception roll, sorry.
Absolutely. Pow. Did that?
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah. So you carry on looking at, and Gulliver and Hasra, you see Hengist approach the camp, and yes, Hengist, go for it. Announce yourself.
So, seeing that they're all asleep, he's going to go, hello, good, nice to meet you all, in a very loud voice to try and wake them all up.
Yeah, so Bartleby, you hear Hengist in a rather loud voice saying this behind you. You just sort of like, what? You know, Hasra, you hear it and see it. Gulliver, you probably hear it and figure what's going on. So yeah. So what would you like to do?
Is it us?
Yeah, it's Hasra and Gulliver. So Hasra, you go first because you're closest to the thing.
I'm looking at Hengist and I'm like, what is the fool doing? It's a trap. The bodies, they're not alive.
Hasra says, turns to you, Gulliver, and says, "It's a trap. Get an axe." Or is that it's a witch?
It's a trick.
It's a trick.
It's a trick. Get an axe.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
Was Hasra saying that out loud, or
No, I was
right.
vocalizing it in my own head. God Almighty! I think it's Amriel.
Yeah, can you please choose one of the appropriate gods or goddesses of the Parthenon that's exists?
That's what it is. I want to.
Just pick one.
I'm going to withhold my action in a sense, but I'm going to be watching what happens.
Okay, so remember that if you hold
your action.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
Well, you can delay your action, which means that if you delay, you can only parry or evade if you wish to do that, or you can dither, which means that you just waste your action.
I don't want to do that. I want to whisper. I'm going to whisper in that long whisper you do to somebody who's going home to his wife drunk, and it's like quiet.
Is that your dog's just come in?
That's one of my dogs. Yeah.
His claws cutting.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Either that, or you need to take.
I visioned of this dog sort of like sliding all over this laminate floor, trying to get.
Did he have
wait
heels
for
on?
the oil down.
It's a slid through.
Right, so I want to do that whisper where I go, Hengist. They're not alive, I don't think. The bodies are contorted.
Yeah, so Hengist is sort of like stood there, sort of like, hello, I'm Hengist. And Hasra is on the opposite side of the couch going.
I'm trying to whisper like this, Hengist. Get your backside down on the ground. Damn it, I'm gone Scottish.
Okay, so the two warriors are having, Hengist is quite bold and sort of like said that and said, "Welcome, I am Hengist. Who are you?"
Announcing himself.
And Hasra is saying, No, Hengist, don't do that. Across the...
Yes.
Yeah. So, Gulliver, what would you like to do?
Gulliver wants to move round this way, so that he's got a better. Ideally, I want to be moving to the other end of this thing, so I've got a better view of the.
Yeah, that's
of the camp.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Okay, then. So we'll roll your perception roll when we get back to you. Did you want to do it stealthily, by the way?
I want to do it as stealthily as I can.
Yeah, roll it then. Yeah, you sort of like head off, and Hasra, also you hear that a break.
I was using Hasra's loud whispering as
so that would that would have I actually took that into account because it was an easy roll, but you managed to mess that up as well. So so Hasra, you're sort of like saying to Hengist, and also you hear a huge sort of like either Gulliver steps on a twig or stumps his toe on something and goes, ow, like that, and you sort of like look around and you sort of like see Gulliver has moved off to one side. Bartleby, what would you like to do?
I'd like to approach Hengist, still behind him, but within prayer touching distance.
Yeah, that's cool. Move yourself up. Yeah. Okay then. So you announce yourself, Hengist, in a forthright voice, and you notice that all these bodies seem to be still asleep, or they seem to be wrapped up in their sleeping blankets or something, but you almost like get the feeling now that you're closer, you notice that some of them, it looks like they're almost like contorted underneath the blankets, as if sort of like there's an arm out at one point, that doesn't look right. And this whole campsite looks quite strange. What would you like to do? Unusual, should I say? It doesn't look like a normal. The bodies don't look normal at all.
He wants to stoop next to one of the bodies, probably this one, and
cool.
He wants to sort of like examine it.
Yeah. So you'll need
not to. So yeah, he wants to get to, like, he's going to kneel down next to it, and he wants to try and carefully and gently shake the person awake.
Okay. So you through the blanket, yeah? I'm assuming. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's not going to whip a blanket off a stranger. That's a bit.
Yeah. Okay
awkward.
Then. So Hasra, you will be up next. You see Hengist walking towards one of the bodies, and he sort of like bends over and he sort of like rocks it through the blanket as if trying to wake it up.
Hasra will go. And he will have
He did what? Sorry, I wasn't watching.
It's a face palm.
All right.
And then he will have his spear ready, just watching. I want to look behind him or anywhere around.
Yeah, so you can see Bartleby behind him.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, Bartleby's sort of like there as well. Okay, yeah, so Hasra's making violent hand signals over to both Hengist and you, Bartleby. You can see him doing it. Gulliver, what do you wish to do?
Gulliver's observing now from...
Oh, yes, perception roll, yeah.
Perception.
Yeah. There is something else that you can notice. Hang on, let me just send it to you.
How dense is the canopy above?
Yeah, you can glimpse the night sky through it. There is a moon shining. It's not the major light that you're gaining at the moment is from your lanterns.
Did you send me it?
Yeah, so
I didn't. I saw you typing, but then it stopped, and I didn't know whether.
I stopped to give you that information, but you've got everything now. So we'll. That'll be your action, Gulliver. So we're back to you, Bartleby.
I guess Hasra wants me to pull the arrow out of the tree, so I'll try and pull the arrow. Tease him.
Yeah, it seems to just roll me a brawn check.
Oh, Bartleby's best skill. By the power of failure.
You do begin to pull it out, and it wasn't very deep, but you managed to snap the shaft off the bit that's actually, so the arrowhead is still in the tree, but you've got the staff and the flight still on it now. It looks like an arrow, and probably, well, you're not familiar with ranged weapons, are you?
Not at all.
No, so you think it's definitely an arrow, or it was an arrow. Now it's an arrow without the arrowhead, because that's in the thing. Yes.
What is the fletching like? Is it like a bird's feather? Or?
Yes. Yeah. Most definitely. It looks
Excellent.
It looks like it's some kind of brown feather. It doesn't look like it's a white feather. Brown and green. It looks like, it's not. You don't think it was something to herald its presence. So Hengist, you sort of like bend over. You sort of like find a suitable body part through on the blanket that you think might be a shoulder. You sort of like shake it, and the body is absolutely completely unresponsive. It doesn't seem to be moving at all, and it only seems to be moving when you shake it. It's at this point that you do realize that the blanket is actually over the person's head. You can't actually see their face or anything, and this one's lying on its back. Hasra, what would you like to do? You hear a snap as Bartleby does something over the other side.
Hearing or seeing what's going on with
Hengist.
the Hengist and Mr. Bartleby, and knowing that Gulliver is off to the left watching.
Yeah, you can see him, yeah.
I want to dash, he said. Where's my measuring tool gone?
It looks a little bit different. It looks like the power button.
Oh, is that no stopping?
Yeah, and then it'll just work.
So I want my left. Let me put on mute for a second. I want to run to this tree here, or move to this tree here. There.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same point, I want to. Sorry.
If you just put draw the pathway that you would like to go round, so I know which way you're going.
Okay. I will. Nope. God's sake. There we go. So let me go round. I want to go here to here.
You're not.
Why is it locked on? That's weird. I want. Ow! Oh. That's a dog. That. So anyway, I want to go around. So clockwise around the bodies to here.
Okay, so I'm assuming therefore you want to go like that.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay then. Yes. So Hasra moves round to here. Gulliver, you're up.
Muted.
You muted.
Oh, sorry. I'd muted myself.
Yes, Gulliver, what would you like to do?
Gulliver's going to keep keep his position where he is. He's still got the stone in his hand, but he's going to be listening and watching for anything. He particularly wants to look up into the canopy, the branches in the trees, to see whether or not he can see anything ready to drop down.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to get you all onto the map. There you are. I've just made it a lot bigger, that's all. Yeah, so you stay there. So Hengist and Bartleby, and you can all now move as a person. I'm not going to keep saying you do this, you do that. So whatever you would like to do, now is the time to say, I want to do this, I want to do that. So whoever wants to go first, go for it.
Yeah, I want to lean over to Hengist while I'm there and say, Hengist, this is what we in the steps call a dead man's trap. You put the campfire in the middle and you put dead bodies around it and you watch who comes and then you kill them. I've seen this before, I'm sure I have. But I think I chose a dead man's trap.
That's fine, Hasra. I've figured that out already. I'm springing the trap. I want to see who comes. And then Hengist is going to slowly pull the blanket away from the face of the body here.
You sort of like pull it away, and there's from the light of the fire, which is casting over Hasra and Hengist, you actually see this. And as you pull the blanket back, there's an incredibly pale face. You would think it's probably some kind of ruffian, some kind of thug, something like that. And you notice that his eyes are sort of like staring wide open blankly towards the sky, and his mouth is twisted in almost like a primeval yell or scream. You also notice that there seems to, just as you get the cover to about just the top of his chest, you do notice that there seems to be quite a heavy deep cut mark across his throat, and from the amount of blood on his tunic, and also in around him that you can now see, he probably bled out here. You also notice that one of his hands, as you remove a little bit more, is almost like twisted and gnarled, a bit like that. It's however he died, it was definitely not a pleasant or painless death.
That's my canopy perception roll.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you can see there seems to be nothing up in a canopy at all. And if anything, it's quite dense, but you can see little patches where the moonlight is shining through. But it seems to be completely devoid.
Can't see any movement.
No, not just the wind blowing through the canopy. Bartleby, you're still looking back the way you came with an arrow shaft and flight in your hand. There seems to be nothing behind you at all.
In that case, could I give up on looking for any archer position and go to about here, going alongside Hengist, walking up and holding out the arrow to show both him and Hasra that somebody shot the tree.
Somebody killed this poor fellow in his sleep.
This is very strange. I would have thought that you say you found this arrow in the tree? Which tree?
It's pointing out that way. Maybe somebody here knows. Not the dead guy, obviously, but
not the dead guy.
It's safe to assume, but if one is dead, then all of them are.
Yes, and So were they shot in the sleep? Did somebody creep up with they laid out here and then the arrows were shot in to kill anybody who came towards to investigate? Where's the trail? Can I have a quick scout? See if these why is my mouse doing that? Sorry. Can I have a quick scout to see or track to see if these drag marks actually go fully into this camp here?
Yeah, just roll your survival or tracking. Tracking is probably more appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay then. So you sort of like head off to go round the camp to see what you can find, etc. Gulliver, are you staying in your position or are you moving?
I'm at the moment. I'm not hidden or anything, am I?
No. You're peeping round from the tree.
Yeah,
You've probably got
seen
cover.
anything in the tree, and everybody else has sort of like gone in. So he's going to move into the clearing as well.
And is there anything you want to do when you move in, or do you want to just go in and wait there?
I want to gingerly pull back the blanket of the closest one to me.
Well, there's two really close to you, so if you want to pick the one that one. Okay, cool. Yeah.
I was going to say, when I move away, can I just ask Mr. Bartleby, as I'm going to look, to see if you can see if these bodies are Matilda? That's all.
Yeah. So you say that to Bartleby, Hengist and Bartleby. What? Hengist or Bartleby or Hengist, is there anything else you would like to do? Well, Gulliver's checking these two bodies over there. Hasra, you're going around the camp looking to see what the tracks were like. And Hengist and Bartleby, is there anything you would like to do?
Yeah.
Cool. What is it then?
Well, I was waiting to see if Hengist is going to interrupt me. Okay, I just didn't want you to get skipped. I don't know what Matilda would look like since I never met her, but I would like to cast a particular prayer to make us a little safer. It involves... What's that?
It's not fine to Matilda's spell, is it?
No, but close. It's make sure we don't get ambushed, maybe, by an evil...
Yeah, do you wish to take minutes? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, okay then. Cast away. Oh, nice one. Yeah. So you sort of like take minutes to cast a spell, so there'll be a moment. So Hengist, what would you like to do when this is happening?
Hengist is going to move onto the inside of the campfire, but he's sort of like going to be examining the fire, but at the same time he doesn't want to make... I said that the wrong way around. He's keeping an eye out in sort of this direction behind Gully and here and this way, but he's pretending he's not, if you know what I mean. He's pretending to be looking at the fire, so he's going to kneel down, but he's actually sort of looking up like this and looking around and casting his eyes around. He's playing a game.
Okay. We'll take...
Gulliver's going to check each of these.
Yeah.
Now. If Bartleby's going to be minutes casting.
Yeah. So you notice that Hengist comes into the fire, kneels down by the fire. The two bodies by you. The first thing that you notice looking at them is that one's male and one's female. It doesn't matter which one's which. The other thing that you do notice, Gulliver, is that they're both dead. You notice that the male appears to have died from what appears to be some kind of puncture wound. It's quite small, but it's quite open but round. It could have been an arrow that's been pulled out. You're not too sure. The woman has died by her throat being cut and allowed to bleed out from her. And you do notice, all of you, that the ground is a little bit sodden where the amount of blood comes out. But the most interesting thing that you find about both of them, Gulliver, is that both of them have their hands and feet tied.
Okay. So Gulliver's going to move to which one did?
Yeah, I'll come back to you. Let me just Hasra. You notice that if you're watching the map, the drag marks definitely come up this from the south of the map and into the area. There's quite a lot of activity in there. The only other thing that you notice while you're making your way down this side is that you can see Hengist's and Bartleby's footprints. There seems to be some other kind of footprints. There's too many just by Hengist and Hasra there. They seems to be quite heavy boots. Not what you would expect from some kind of almost like trained people. You know, they obviously know what they were doing. Yeah, something like that. And the other thing that you do notice is that there's also some kind of almost like hoof prints, not horseshoes. Some other kind of hoof print. There seems to be maybe one, maybe two of them, not a huge amount. From the size and the depth, you figure they're probably humanoid in size and shape, but that's it. Hengist, when you crouch down by the fire, something becomes very apparent to you straight away once you're inside the body. Just one moment. You sort of like crouch down by the fire and you suddenly realize that there's a complete lack of camping paraphernalia around here. There's no pots, there's no rucksacks, there's no food, there's no tent equipment or anything like that. It seems that the only thing that are here are 6 bodies with blankets covering them.
Okay.
So Hasra, you've made your way completely round now, so you're almost like back to where you started. There seems to be no other tracks on the other side of the
no, I'll relay my information about the tracks on this side here to Hengist and Gulliver and Mr. Bartleby, just so they're aware.
Yeah.
And I will ask Mr. Bartleby, what kind of humanoid without hooves for feet? There are seem to be. It's not hooves. It's like the two. They're not deep enough for horses. It's like they're almost humanoid size with hooves. Do you know what type of creature would have this sort of thing?
I'm probably still casting my prayer, aren't I?
Yeah, so you can cast it now, so it comes off. You cast the spell. There seems to be no magical items or magic or anything in this general area, and you sort of like look around, and there seems to be no auras or glowing of magic at all. It almost like seems almost too plain. And then Hasra then tells you about the hoof things, so he sort of like points some of them out on the ground.
Could I roll my lore of monsters or history?
Law of monsters, but you can augment it via Hasra's tracking roll. So what's your
67 is my track, so 20% of that is going to be 13.
Yep.
13? All right. 13. Bringing me up to 67.
And that's with me, guys. Maths is awesome.
Yeah, I thought you did really well there, Hasra. Well done. Yeah, so you sort of like come over to sort of like this area, and you sort of like knelt down, and Hasra sort of like points out where the hooves are, and you sort of like look at that, and it's almost like a cloved hoof, and you figure it's almost maybe almost like sheep or boar or pig like, but something a lot bigger than, even bigger than the size of
Size
lump.
of an elephant.
You
Would
think,
it be like the Borkin?
yeah, they could, it could be Borkin
Or bigger
hoof
than
prints.
that.
Probably the same, maybe a little bit bigger. We're not too
But
sure.
not as big as the big thing that attacked us in Lindo that burst through that was half man, half.
Oh yes, that probably smaller than that,
Right.
but probably of the same ilk.
Oh, what is this you say? What is this creature you talk of?
I think you were there.
Oh, in the town, in the
When we saved
castle?
the count.
When the count, yes, the big thing that entered
And the rug, yeah, when they.
and the rug. He appeared in the room.
Gulliver's on Gulliver's sort of like thinking to what Hasra was saying about the tracks, and he's going to look at the other bodies. So he's thinking to himself, he's found two that's bound, so he's thinking that one of the other ones will be bound as well.
Yeah.
And then he's looking, maybe he's seen the one that Hengist has turned over, that looks more like a ruffian. So he's looking for sort of like one more bound person, then thinking that there's going to be two more.
Yeah.
Sort of like similarly dressed than the other one, which would then, in his mind, sort of say the ruffians had dragged the people from the camp, and the woman would probably be Matilda, and one of them would be the one that went with Matilda, and maybe somebody else, and that's his.
Yeah. So you can tell that you got a male and a female both bound near you. This one here it seems to be dressed almost like very simple garb. Probably maybe like a wagon driver or something like that. He is bound, and he is being killed by arrows. And then the three on Hengist's side are all of a similar ilk. They look like some kind of outlaw, some kind of ruffian or thug or something like that. You notice that none of them have any weapons on them. And the three on the other side, apart from even the one that Hengist looked at, when you remove the blanket altogether, you find that they all have arrow holes in them, but they've also had their throats slit as well.
But the arrow holes there's no holes in the blankets.
No, good point. There is no holes in the blanket at all. If anything, the blankets are quite moist in places as the blood has seeped through it.
So would Gulliver think that? So it's they've obviously been killed. I mean, the ones that had their throats cut, they might have been already on the floor, maybe asleep. But the other ones that's got the arrows, they wouldn't have been underneath blankets, because otherwise there would have been arrow holes in the.
Yeah, I mean,
blankets.
you're quite an intelligent chap, Gulliver is, and you looking around, you don't even think that they were asleep. Their bodies are too contorted or too irregularly placed. You think probably what's more likely to have happened is that they've died somewhere, or they've been pounced on and ambushed in this position, killed, and then laid down and the blanket put over them. It also looks like, from what you know and what Hengist knows as well, that there's no other sign of a camp here. That there's no paraphernalia, there's no pots, there's no weapons.
But what you were saying earlier as well, it's not like a clearing for a camp either.
No, it could have been a place to stop though, because you haven't come across any clearings at all. You are right though; it could have been travelling and being attacked. I think that's what you're getting at, and then the fire created, and then the sort of like place, a bit like what Hasra was talking about, a dead man's trap. But whatever's happened here, it's definitely something not pleasant.
Okay.
And just so you know, the woman, you notice that she looks like a labourer. She doesn't look like a pretty woman, i.e., a noble woman or anything like that. And you do notice that there is a slightly less sunburnt mark round her neck, where
she was wearing an amulet, or
as if there would have been a chain.
Does she look like a Matilda?
We don't know what Matilda looks like.
Does she look like a Matilda?
It's probably quite safe to presume,
Yes.
Hasra, that this was Matilda.
Gulliver, you pull back a pinafore dress, and just there's a little name tag in there that says Matilda. Yeah, just roll your literacy skill to make sure that you. No, it's Maureen.
Definitely Matilda.
Oh, you've rolled. Look at that, Matilda. She's Matilda. It's on the shirt. Look.
But the other thing that once Bartleby's finished casting his spell, Gulliver will ask him one question just to confirm what he's already found, and he's going to ask him at what height the arrow was in the tree.
I wasn't praying. I was just looking at the dirt tracks go over.
Yeah, but all this was happening when you were doing the witch sight thing, so you would have been sort of like casting it. You took minutes, didn't you?
Yeah, but I thought that went off, and then Hasra asked me a question.
Yeah, but he pulled the arrow out well before that, didn't he?
You can see, Gulliver, where the hole in the tree was.
Yeah.
Is it sort of like
it's going to be like sort of.
It's somewhere between almost like chest height, depending how big or small the person would be. It probably was aiming for the upper half, maybe the neck.
Okay. But does it look like it's gone in the tree straight or at an angle? Does it look like it was fired downwards?
Distance or no?
Well,
I was looking more like fired close. Maybe.
Yeah, but all that's left in the tree now is the arrowhead.
Oh, right.
Bartleby has the shaft.
Right. Gulliver's going to ask Bartleby the question then. Did it look like it was sticking straight out, or did it look like it was at an angle?
Yeah, I mean, Bartleby replies that Bartleby's not used to ranged weapons or this sort of thing. I don't think you've ever come across a bowman, have you?
I met Briggs.
Yeah, Briggs.
Yeah, apart from Briggs. So the arrow was virtually straight into the tree, Bartleby. So you can relate that to Gulliver, and you're quite impressed with his interest in weapons and ranged weapons and things like that. You say, oh, yeah.
I am quite impressed.
Yeah.
I used to know ways of the bow.
I'm going to take the arrow head off, but you know where the actual arrow head is still deep within the trunk, through the bark.
I'm going to turn around to everyone and say, I think these poor folk here are beyond our help. I don't know who lit the fire, but if we can maybe put out the fire and then release them and go back to where we were to protect our wagons, because they've been unattended for some time now.
That is true, yeah.
And we have given our word that we would protect them. And it seems to be that whoever caused this, and then Hengist is going to gesture at the gruesome campsite, is still at large.
We will come back at a later date because we have more pressing matters now. We have Farmer Matilda. We don't need to tell her friend what happened. We can just say maybe she moved away and she is now. If we ever see him again, if not, we don't have to say anything. Nobody needs to know.
Sounds like lying,
News,
Pastor.
fake news.
I don't know. Hasra wants to leave children locked in a cell. Then he just wants to walk away and let's just pretend nothing happened.
Nothing to see here.
But what did happen to those kids we saved?
Please move along, Mr. Bartleby. You don't need to know.
They were taken into the caravan, weren't they? And then dropped
that's
up at Thorson. They were left there.
Right. No, it's a good town. They'll be fine.
No,
Yeah.
you have plenty of
Big
meat pies.
fires.
Don't worry about it.
But what do you think happened here?
I don't know. My understanding of a dead man's trap, what we used to see in the steppes, were they used to lay the bodies out around a campfire, and then when somebody came to rob them, they would lay in wait and shoot those people, and then rob the robbers.
But isn't the whole idea of a dead
And to get banded.
for it to be sprung? Like if
Yes, you'd like to think if we came up here with the fire burning, we'd expect to see somebody here with us attacking us. But which is going to make me more worried, more concerned about the wagon, is because we are here and the wagon is there alone, and we are here, but the trap is not sprung.
Hasra, could you just roll a survival roll for me, please?
Certainly can. I got the eye out of town.
Yeah. As you're talking to Gulliver and sort of like you're exchanging words, you sort of like keep looking up at the camp and sort of like gesturing to it. You know, this is where you put the bodies, so and so, so and so, so and so. And something's not right with this camp at all. And people have been getting this feeling for a while. And then suddenly Gulliver almost like hinted at it beforehand, but your knowledge and expertise of survival and camping almost like it almost like comes together in your head, and you suddenly make sense of the situation. You don't think this was a camp at all. If anything, it might have been a sign of a battle that people have made look like a camp. There's nothing here that sort of like says these people made camp. You know, it's as if they were killed and placed round and then a fire lit.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is what Hasra was saying was it's not. It's what you do. You build a fire, you kill people or make fake bodies. You put them around a fire to make it look like a camp, but it's not really a camp.
Either that or
Do you know what I mean?
either that or they were ambushed,
I wasn't
and
saying
then they're hiding the fact that they killed people.
No. I wasn't saying the fact it's where they camped. They never camped here. This was made. This is made here.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what
that's what
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying. It's the fact that it's not a camp. It's put there as a bit of sugar for a fly to come to.
Okay, guys, what do you wish to do? Do you wish to wait for the flight to come to the sugar?
No, because it killed 6 guys. Let's go. And like I said, I think that if this is Matilda, I think our work here, we have no reason to be here anymore. Let us move out, douse the fire, and let us go back to our wagons. That is my opinion. Would you care to follow?
I'll follow.
But I mean, I think that I think that whoever killed them probably stumbled on them by accident. They probably weren't.
No, they weren't camping here. This is the thing. There's no bags. There's no cutlery. There's no food. There's no nothing. They weren't here. They were placed here.
I mean,
They were dragged. You can see the drag marks through the look. Look, if you look at the map, you can see. If you look at the road, so you can see the drag marks coming. Oh, my mouse is gone.
What's that?
You can see the drug come and drag.
From what you've said about the tracks, Hasra, it would be my understanding that the ruffians probably ambushed Matilda and her friends by the roadside, maybe bound them and started to drag them through the forest, and then whoever killed them was actually moving from east to west and just happened to come across them.
Well, but no. What happened? What I think happened is they were dragged from the road through the forest.
I've just said that, Hasra.
To this point, now let me finish, my friend Gulliver. I have seen strange things on the steps, but followed, dragged here, and then maybe these men had their way with them, or did whatever, or take their money, or I don't know. But then I just had a thought, and then maybe the thing you described earlier came back, and I think it maybe killed the people who killed these who were laying in wait. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe the ghost woman who chased, I went for her, who chased Bartleby away, killed the people who killed these when they came back for looking for more people. I don't know. But these people were placed here as a trap. There is no camp here. This is just, it's all for show, for like a play. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, Hasra, but
balls.
I think you're wrong.
Yeah, go for it, Hengist.
We're spending too much time here. We're all in agreement that the best thing now to do is move back to the caravans. I think we should make that with all due haste.
Yes, definitely.
I want to do a prayer for the bodies before I go. Just a general non-casting style prayer. The condolences to the lost and Matilda and all the good trappings.
Yeah, everybody sort of like bows their head as Bartleby utters prayers of.
Hasra will be a little bit more sincere about his bowing as well.
Oh, cool, yeah. And you sort of like mention afterlives and, gone to a better place and we shall not forget them, etc., etc., and make Amriel guide them through the celestial skies until they once more sit beside her in the glow of her radiant face. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get an arrow in the head.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So you.
We're going to head back to the caravan.
Caravan is priority now.
Okay, so you just leave. Did you say you're leaving the fire on, or are you kicking it out, or what?
I thought we should douse it.
I mean, what's the ground like? Is there sort of like dirt that we can put over?
Yeah, or I'm sure you're all blokes. You can think about something to do to douse the fire. A campfire.
On the fire.
And let's hope that nobody miss targets or anything.
To be fair, I can never do it with somebody watching.
And it's sort of like, yeah, so you all have to sort of like look the other way, and then there's a tss, you know, and then yeah, and the fire's put out with the with a bit.
Gulliver's not getting his body out there, dead bodies.
Yeah, there's
Although he's very interested when Hengist does, just to see whether or not that galloping knob brought action. Because he didn't ever have it cured.
No, he never got it cured. That is true. Yeah, so there's after a series of hissing sounds and the smell, the faint smell of ammonia. You really should drink more, guys. You sort of like the fire is put out.
We were held prisoner for that. God knows how long. And not given
No water.
You sort of like leave the splattered surface of the stones, etc., and leave these bodies in their own blood in the middle of the forest and head back to the caravan. And as you sort of like get close, as you sort of like tromping, what? Trumping, no, trampling or trudging through the trudging through the forest. You see the light of the caravan just where you left it, on that little lay-by, for want of another word. And as you sort of like get closer and closer to the caravan, you then notice that as the sounds of your arrival sort of like pick up, then you notice that some of the caravan guards sort of like come and sort of like level their spears off in the general direction. But once they see you, there's definitely a sigh of relief, or they looked relieved that, you know, the heroes have returned. And you sort of like come into the clearing, and sort of like Johan sort of like looks at you and looks up at the sky and says, "I hope you're not expected to be paid for that little romp in the forest."
To be fair, Johan, what I need is just a couple of hours of good rest.
Yeah,
No,
well,
we don't need to be paid for it. We did that on our own because people were in need.
well, to be honest with you, our people have been taking the watches at the moment, so you'll probably have to, you know, take the next ones between you and let my guards have some sleep. It's rather unfortunate just heading off to the forest like that. Oh, hang on a minute. Did you find anything?
I tell you what, Johan, if we hadn't gone to the forest like we did, you, my friend, would be dead right now.
Dead? He questions.
Yes.
I think Sinra might have something to do with that. She likes me. She likes me.
That is maybe why she sent me into the forest with my friends. And Gulliver here, he was the most heroic person I've ever seen.
Really? What did he do?
He went against a ghost woman. I don't know what you call them in this area of the world. The woman from what him and Hengist say. Well, I'll let him tell you. Gulliver, tell him what happened.
And you suddenly notice that a lot of the guards, Gulliver, have turned round and are looking at you quite expectantly. And Johan sort of like puts his hands on his hips and sort of like cocks his head to one side and says, "Well."
Well, we went into the forest, and we heard a sound, and well, we ran, and yeah, and Hasra tripped over a root and hit his head.
And what of this ghost woman?
I think he was just seeing things. He hit his head.
And it's sort of like one of the guards said, "Did you meet the ghost woman?
The ghost woman?
The ones that's meant to be haunting these parts. I was talking to Master Hasra about it. The ghost that seeks revenge.
I don't think we did.
I thought we did. I don't know. It's dark. There's many things happen at once. I ran for help.
It seems, Master Hasra, that you had quite a lump on your head. Not only might you be lump hefting champion, but probably have taken a rather nasty lump to your head. I can't believe that you're so...
I don't remember many of this thing, but I'm surprised that you're still alive. And you should be grateful for our help, even if it wasn't a dream. It was fine. If it not happened, it happened. I'm sure.
Well,
I'm going to rest now. I'm going to my job. I will take my watch in a few hours' time.
yeah, and you sort of like head off to your normal sleeping arrangements and guard arrangements. And as you sort of like walk past you, the guards sort of like dissipate from their groups and sort of like turn around, and you hear them muttering, "He's a bit weird." And somebody says, my dad got a bump on his head once. He was never the same again. Never ever. He had to wear a bandage, you know. He used to terrify me as a kid. Said that if you looked underneath the bandages, you could see his brain pulsing. I never did, but
No, it was on his arm.
he died very strangely in the end. We thought the madness took him, you know, definitely. And they sort of like give you a wary look, Hasra, as you all separate out. The night passes uneventfully, and you all manage to take your watch and your and get some sleep. And you are spellcasters. You are able to regain your magic points at this point, but please remember your luck hasn't replenished because that does vary sessions. The next morning, you notice that there seems to be almost like something lifted from the surrounding forest. The sun comes up and it's quite cold and crisp, but it's almost like a spring morning. It's as if things have, as if something was once hanging over the this area, but it's now been lifted and almost like exercised or something like that.
That'd be my imaginary dream thing, won't it?
Was it?
I don't know.
That's up to you. You can share that if you wish. And you sort of like, in the end, you even notice that Johann's in a bit of a better mood, and you actually hear him whistling as they pack up the bags, and everybody seems a lot more at ease and almost like refreshed. And you sort of like take up your normal positions in the caravan. Bartleby, you sort of like ride along, trying very hard to manipulate those strings on your ukulele or harp or whatever it is, to try to practice that bardic profession. Just roll your instrument skill. And if you're not quite getting it right this morning. You're all sort of like fingers and no thumbs at the moment, and you sort of like strum away, and as you go along you hit some sort of like bad chords. And so a shrike is that bird that impales things on thorns. So there was a spirit, Geostella, who was impaling humans on the branches in the forest that they've just released the curse from. And the caravan sort of like sets off once more, and everybody seems almost like happy and relaxed, and you travel through the day, and it's almost like it's coming round to about dusk time, and Johan points out to sort of like round the corner on the road, and you see smoke rising, and he sort of like looks at you and says, "Oh, we'll be at Aylesford soon. You can see the smoke there." And you look across, and yeah, you can definitely see small wisps of smoke sort of like going up, and he seems to be unperturbed by it, and he just keeps whistling and coming on. And you suddenly have this feeling that you sort of like think, that doesn't look like chimney smoke. It looks more like burning rather than chimney smokes. And you sort of like turn round and start to approach what appears to be a bridge that goes into the town, and you sort of like suddenly get very concerned, because normally you would expect to hear the chatter of people, maybe the banging of a hammer on an anvil, or the cry of children running around, and you just sort of like come round, and you can see the bridge entering into Aylesford, and all you hear is the squawk of crows. And as you come round and the corner and over the bridge, you can see Aylesford in front of you, and no matter where you are on the carriage, Johan suddenly stops the caravan altogether, and you sort of like are somewhat puzzled. And Hasra, you've been out setting traps, so you sort of like come back at this point, and you sort of like look ahead, and on the opposite side of the road there seems to be a dead body. It has a crow sat on its face, on the body's face, and the crow seems to be pecking at the soft features, getting into that eye socket. And you look up to the town of Alyesford, and this meets your gaze. There, it looks like there's corpses littered everywhere, and there's pools of blood, and you notice that some of them, as you ride, Johan naturally brings the caravan forward and starts to ride into Aylesford, and you see that some of them bear hollowed of like ragged wounds, as if they've been almost like torn apart and lacerated. And you also look both ways and notice that some appear to have their heads missing or arms missing, and you see crows on several of them as you sort of like journey through. And
do only have arrows in them?
No, strangely not. They see it almost like you see the odd leg or arm there, and it almost like looks like it's been gnawed at, by a wild animal, and all the doorways are open and ajar, and there's no light anywhere, and the doors seem to have been pulled off. The the buildings, and you can see that men and women and children have obviously been dragged out of the hut and then just mauled or ripped apart. And you notice that some sort of like have headed off past the well over to one side as if they were escaping, but it's obvious that they've been cut down by something or someone, and there's just sort of like got huge gashes across their backs. Nobody's armored or anything like this. This looks like normal everyday village folks.
And is there a church at the far end?
Yeah, there is. It's exactly what it looks like in the picture. It's not a church. It looks like it's a town meeting place.
Okay, and are the doors of that closed?
The doors of that are closed, yeah. But you do notice, can you see that blackened bit down the steps? Mm-hmm. That seems to be some kind of burnt, or it looks like it's been burnt in some description. And, you know, you can see everything. And just then, you hear it almost like a moan, and
it's not somebody turning paper, is it?
No, there's suddenly like a moan, and you look over to one side, off the picture this is, and you notice that there seems to be a person that is lying underneath somebody else, as if they've fallen down, somebody's fallen on top of them. The person on top is sort of like arched over them and have their sort of like their stomach and their intestines just sort of like ripped out by something quite hefty, and you just hear this moan, and you think there might be somebody alive over there. It's not a zombie moan. It sounds as if, Bartleby, you're quite familiar about it. It's almost like seems to be a moan of injury.
Gulliver's going to jump down off the have the carriages stopped.
Yeah, you can hear that several of the drivers, you can hear them vomiting off the side of the carriages, because the smell is quite rife here. This wasn't done, it's probably done a couple of days ago, and so the smell is quite rife, and you can hear them vomiting off the side.
Gulliver's going to jump down and he's going to say, there's somebody still alive, and he's going to try to start to work out where the moaning's coming from to see whether or not he can pinpoint.
Yeah, Hasra will follow his lead, and the same, he will try to find where this moaning's coming from.
Same.
Yeah, it's
Hengist will go along. He's going to be more of a careful approach. So the other three are probably running off, and he's going to be coming along behind at a more measured approach, and he's going to be glancing at the other bodies and glancing around. He's more expecting something else to jump out of somewhere.
Okay, so you, Hasra and Gulliver and Bartleby, you sort of like head over with some urgency to this this body that seems to be underneath another one, and that you can hear the moaning from. And Hengist sort of like hangs back, taking his time, sort of like looking around and making sure that there's nobody alive or coming towards you. And you three get to the body quite quickly, and yeah, you can see the person underneath. As you get there, you notice that he has this rasping voice. You notice that he's face down on the ground, and there's other bodies over the top of him, but the face down guy's heads to one side, and he's got like blood caked round his mouth, and all his lips are sort of like swollen and cracked, and his face is all bruised and battered, and he just looks at you, and you can't quite hear the words, but as you get closer and closer, you sort of like kneel down, and he seems to be crying. He's just saying, "Help me," like that at you.
Water, get him water now. If I have any water on me, I will dribble a little bit of his lips.
Gulliver's going to. I mean, Gulliver's first thing is to try to get this body off him. I don't know whether or not he can grab it. I mean, he's not very strong, thinks Gulliver, but he's going to do his best to sort of like drag the body off the person.
Yeah, so you sort of like probably more, rather than dragging, you probably try to push it and flip it back. Yeah, and something like that. And Hasra, you sort of like try to pour some water into this. Yeah, and it's just sort of like runs down, and he sort of like coughs and splutters, and you notice that there's blood coming out of his mouth. Yeah, Gulliver, you've managed to push this or roll the body off him. Yeah, that body was quite mutilated, etc. But it almost like looks as if it might have been protecting him in some way.
Can I see any cuts or anything, or is on him?
On the one that's saying help me.
That's underneath.
Yeah, you can't see any wounds on his back or his arms. He's got some scrapes on his arms and his legs, but it's nothing major. It's almost like it might have been as if this guy was running and the other guy was behind him, and then something's happened to this guy, and he's almost like gone on top of this other guy. Maybe to protect him or something like that. This water just seems to be dribbling like this past his mouth. He can't really take it in at the moment.
No, just trying to moisture on his lips more.
Yeah. Yeah, and he sort of like splutters blood for a while, and then he just keeps saying almost like in that raspy voice, "Help me."
Gulliver wants to cast a spell. He wants to put his hand on the knelt down by me. He wants to put his hand on his chest with his sort of like fingers outstretched, and he wants to say, "Leia," and cast a spell.
Yeah.
So the spell that he's casting is that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe if he's dehydrated and stuff, maybe it might be help from the minor complaints.
Yeah, you notice that your magic sort of like starts to be absorbed into him, and you suddenly realise that you get a sense that the spell doesn't seem to be working, and it seems to be addressing his dehydration, but you actually look up and down him again, because this should work. This should actually work. There's no wounds on his back. There's a few scratches on his legs and arms, and they seem to heal up, but he still seems to be in exactly the same position, and although his arms and legs have healed, he still just seems to be saying over and over again, "Help me."
Gulliver's going to say, "What happened here? What killed all these people?"
He's sort of like he goes to speak, and he sort of says, "He." Like that, and he's still sort of like lying down on his front, and his head's to one side.
Can we sort of like move him so that he doesn't look like he's choking, or you could
probably two of you can probably roll him and maybe sit him up. Yeah.
So go try to sit him up.
Yeah, it'll probably.
I'll go behind him and I'll put your shoulders up.
Okay then. So you sort of like manage between Hasra and Gulliver. You manage to almost like tip him over in preparation to make him sit up or help him sit up to sort of like clear his voice. And as you tip him over, you suddenly realise why your magic wasn't helping him, because he actually has the majority of his front of his body literally ripped off, and he being face down on the floor. As you tip it, you notice that the blood is almost like congealed onto the floor to protect him. And as you sort of like roll him over, there's that awful sort of like plaster off skin moment when the congealed blood sort of like comes away, and you can actually see some of his intestines and his rib cage and everything. And he sort of like lets out his mouth, sort of like opens and goes like that, as if he wants to scream in pain, but he can't, as if he's got no air left in his lungs, trying to sort of like force it out. And in a sort of like a desperate attempt, he sort of like reach out and sort of like grabs you, Gully, by almost like by the scruff of your tunic, and sort of like brings you really close. And he sort of like says to you, and it almost like whispers in your ear, and he says, "He has come. The necromancer is alive." And with those words, as if he was holding on just to tell somebody that, just to give maybe the story of Aylesford to someone else, he suddenly feels that he's almost like fulfilled his task. And that was probably the only thing that he was hanging on for, to try to stay alive. And almost as if he's told it now, as if his task or his pledge has been fulfilled. And he just lets out one long sigh and dies. And that seems to be a really good place to leave it for this week, guys. So I will move it back away from the town of Aylesford.
That would be really good. The money's in there.
So well done. A bit of a mystery going on now, but hopefully you can pick out what's happening and what's going on, and hopefully we'll be back next week, where you can find out what's happening or what's happened in Aylesford, and what the party will find. The party are expecting to meet Finiel and Laram here. So they were, if you remember, trailing the bandits and the Borkins. So so that'll be interesting. So we will leave you in the mutilated state of Aylesford, and we'll be back next week to see what happens. Thank you for the bitties, Mearhawk. We'll see what happens next week. Now, does anybody have any announcements that they would like to say?
Only.
Yep.
Baby shark.
Thank you. Okay, so I will be back tomorrow from 2 o'clock BST time, where I'll be playing some more Elder Scrolls Online, and then you can catch up with me streaming throughout the week, playing a bit more The Bard's Tale 4, maybe some more Guild Wars 2, and also maybe some more Sims 4, since I promised somebody that we'll see what happened to my geeky character who got attacked by a vampire.
Are you going to be doing a Horror Night stream on? 31st of October.
Oh,
I don't know why.
Ooh.
Did you want to do a collab?
No, I've probably got a few games that I have on the Humble bundle that I could send you.
Oh yes, that's fine.
spooky ones, but
I don't mind doing.
I'm not going to give you them if you're not going to do anything with them.
No, it depends what night it is.
no, that's no.
I think it's
Yeah.
a Wednesday night it falls on.
All right. Well, I can have another night off. That's normally my night off, but I don't mind doing it if you send me a nice game. That'd be absolutely fine. Since the Bard Tales 4 was gifted to me as well.
What do you think of it? How are you playing it? Is it good?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I think this sounds a bit weird, but I think it's like Tomb Raider. I think I really love the puzzly bits. I'm not so keen on the combat because I'm no good at it, just like in Tomb Raider. But I like it's very much a case that I want to finish it.
Yeah.
Rather than just leaving it. There's some aspects that I don't like, but
the combat's funny because it's all down to you use points on one person and they carry across to the other person, don't they?
well, you have
So you have to
opportunity
take that
points.
time.
Yeah, you have opportunity points, but you also have mana to cast and things like that. It's quite nice. I've actually got because you can take out what you want. You make your group. So I've got 4 at the moment. I've got a tank, a rogue, a fighter, a rogue, a practitioner, which is my character, who's the magic user, and I've just got a bard. I was going to play a bard, but the bard drinks alcohol
Yes.
to cast it, and I didn't like that. So, but I have got a drunk bard with me now.
It's a
which
very
is nice.
pretty game as well.
It is. It's very nice, and I do love the puzzles. Even
Yes,
though I
the
get
puzzles are
really,
very, very good.
I get really stuck with them. But I'm doing all right at the moment. So anyway, thank you for coming along and watching our adventure today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for the bitties. Thanks for all the interaction and all the chat. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have GMing it. And we'll be back next Saturday at 7:00. BST time to see what the adventurers get up to in the massacred town of Aylesford. Until then, I'd like to say to each and every one of you, please remember to be who you are and say what you think, because the people who mind don't matter and the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, and I'll catch you all later. And until then, happy gaming. See you later. Bye.
Bye, Colgan.